Salutations! Welcome to Pod Mortem. I'm Travis Hunter, joined as always by my co-host, my sister, and my brother-in-law.
Hi, Reneé Hunter Vasquez.
Hi, I'm John Paul Vasquez.
This week, we're broadcasting live from a house in Cuesta Verde discussing the 1982 supernatural horror film, Poltergeist. This film was directed by Tobe Hooper from a screenplay by Steven Spielberg, Michael Grace, and Mark Victor. Born out of a collaborative effort between Hooper and Spielberg, Poltergeist wowed audiences and critics alike upon its release, boasting impressive special effects and frightening visuals, all while grounded in an emotional story of a family in a haunted suburban home. Despite the controversy surrounding who actually directed the film and rumors of the franchise being cursed, Poltergeist remains an incredibly influential film in the genre and is widely considered a horror classic. This film was suggested to us by friend of the show, J.M. Brandt. He is the co-writer of Swamp Dogs, an upcoming horror comic due for release on October 13th. For more information about the comic, head over to swampdogscomic.net or follow them on Instagram at swampdogscomic. Thanks again to J.M. Brandt for his support and the suggestion. So, Poltergeist. What were your first impressions on the film?
I know I didn't see this movie a lot. I remember watching this movie the first time at my one of my aunt and uncle's house, and I didn't remember a lot of this movie when I watched it for the show. I did enjoy this movie a lot more than I thought I would. Not like in a bad way, but I was just kind of wanting to keep an open mind because you do remember the big things that happen because everybody uses it or there's a callback to it in some shit.
It's parodied to death.
Yeah.
It's one of those films that you've seen whether or not you've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
But watching it, I did enjoy it. And then your sister brought something to my attention later that I guess hurt it for me, but not a lot. But
have you been thrown under the bus?
I've now let me try to crawl out from under it. All I said was, and I'm not gonna lie, call me a fake fan or whatever. I did not know that this was a Tobe Hooper film, probably until we started the show.
Because it doesn't feel like one.
So I brought it because we all know John Paul doesn't really pay attention to who directs or who writes or, whatever. So I brought it to his attention and he's like, okay. And I said, what? I was like, what do you mean? I go, does this feel more like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or does it feel more like E.T.? And he's like, it's like that meme of Quentin Tarantino just around his house. Like that was him for the rest of the day. And he's like, I don't know why you had to say that.
You broke his heart.
It wasn't my intention to make you feel one way or the other, but this does not feel
no, you're right.
Like Tobe Hooper made it. That was my whole point. All that to say, I know I watched this as a kid. I know I didn't watch it a lot. But just like you said, T, it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, it's Poltergeist. Like, what's happening? Like, I know that movie because I know all the references to that movie. And then, you have the whole, they used real dead bodies. And then, all it's cursed. And these people died. And Dominic Dunn and Heather O'Rourke, And so I'm expecting, honestly, to get the shit scared out of me. And that didn't happen.
No.
And I know for a lot of people, this is still a very scary movie. If it's scary, like we talked about, I want to say on The Ring, if it scares you at the right time in your life, it's scary forever, whether or not it's scary.
Yeah, it's it's a formative, like nostalgic fear.
Exactly. Unfortunately, I don't have that connection with it. So there's one scene that is actually very scary. And if you think about it as, oh my God, if this were me and, it was Ari and not this little girl, it would be terrifying. But not having that connection, it wasn't scary to me.
So it has to be happening to you?
To my own child.
That stuff, you're like, boring.
It's like, no, let's think about Carol Ann. This is not about you.
Selfish, really.
But it's really good. It's a lot of fun. I didn't really go into it expecting it to be so family friendly.
Right.
And I had mentioned to John Paul as well, I know that PG-13 didn't exist yet.
No.
But the fact that it was PG-13 and he's like, what the fuck?
No. Yeah. There are a few scenes in particular that I'm like, how the fuck did they get away with this? But they did. I agree with the both of you. I think that the thing about it being scary is that it's scary enough to satisfy a horror fan.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's very accessible.
I think you called it a gateway horror film.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel like that's really spot on because you could show this to your kid and it would be scary to your kid, but it's not going to give them nightmare.
Right.
Probably
Well,
won't
it
give them
might.
nightmares.
Right.
Like, it could give them nightmares.
I think you're going to give these kids nightmares, but I don't really remember watching it very much as a kid. I had the opportunity to guest on Not Your Final Girl. Great show, friends of the show, Candace and Ariel. Thank you both for having me on earlier in the year. But the thing is that I hadn't watched it, I don't think, since childhood until I did it for the show.
Yeah, I listened to the episode, which was great. They're great.
They are.
And you're okay.
I'm all right.
But I listened to the episode and y'all talked about Halloween and I was like, yeah. And then you started talking about Poltergeist and I was like, I don't fucking remember this movie at all.
I told him, I said, I think I knew of the rumors of the curse before the movie itself, like going into it.
Yeah.
I said, so I was par-baked like a pie crust for fear. But I think that it must have been watched because I do remember all those little moments, but there's just like oddly clean Spielbergian.
Clean,
like,
yes. Yeah.
Even when things get gross, you're like, this is manageable.
They're going to be fine.
Yeah,
They're
and
going to
then-
be fine.
And when you think of Tobe Hooper, you know,
Anything but clean.
Right.
That's what, I mean, I feel like that's the disconnect for me.
Yeah.
And then seeing the name Tobe Hooper and then hearing about the curse, you're like, I'm about to get these shit. I'm going to be cursed
Right.
for
Watching it.
watching this.
and there was a lot of controversy surrounding
Right.
Tobe Hooper, Steven Spielberg, who directed it.
I read a pretty shitty quote from Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, and they I guess they asked him about it, and Spielberg was like, "Look, Tobe Hooper's not really the take charge kind of guy." And I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
It was so bad that he had to put out an apology letter in the trades later. Because it sparked an investigation from the Directors Guild of America because they're like, oh, did he not direct it?
Yeah.
And through their investigation, they didn't warrant enough to give Spielberg a co-director credit. So, I mean, you know,
Listen.
I did want to point something out. Tobe Hooper did an interview with Fangoria in 1982 about this. And he talked about it and he said that it really upset him because he thought that working with Steven Spielberg was one of the best director-producer relationships he ever had in his life.
Wow.
And he said, so to see the producers and Spielberg say this shit, and that he didn't say this shit.
Say this fucking shit.
Bullshit now. He said to say this shit in the trades, it really hurt his feelings.
That
And
makes me so sad.
he said the thing is that he had this idea in the early 70s. And then after he made The Funhouse, Spielberg contacted him
Yeah.
to direct, I guess, a sequel to Close Encounters.
Right.
And he's like, you know what? I don't really go in for all that alien business,
Well,
but I got a ghost idea.
Yeah.
I read that it was going to be what became E.T.
Yeah.
That's what he had offered him.
And he chose this instead.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it was something that was close to him that he wanted to do it. It's not like Spielberg's like, I got this idea, it's Ghost in a House, and he brings him everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
And the producers are like, well, Steven's more the creative and Toby's more the technical. And he's like, I came up with this shit. It's so sad.
It sucks, man. It's not fair.
No, and I don't want to say I don't like Steven Spielberg.
Are you not? But you don't have a way to finish
No,
that
I
sentence.
just feel like, I don't know. I feel like he's got such a great reputation. There's got to be some skeletons in that.
There's some skeletons in that pool. Okay.
I don't know, yeah. I don't know. I have no proof. Don't sue me, please.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Now, before we trap this film in another dimension, we would like to issue a warning for spoilers. Pod Mortem is a very in-depth podcast, and in thoroughly discussing horror films, we have no choice but to spoil a thing or two. If you don't wish to be spoiled, please go watch the film, then come back and enjoy the show. If you've already seen the film or don't care about spoilers, let's run away from the light. So the film opens with the Star-Spangled Banner as opening credits are shown, and we see the title, Poltergeist.
I gotta say, I was a little thrown by the Star Spangled Banner.
100%. That's not typically, I understand a lot of horrific shit
Yeah.
is tied to
well,
it, but
I mean, it actually makes sense. Now
makes
that you
perfect
put it
sense.
that way.
It's the scariest way to open a film.
Every horror film should open with the Star Spangled Banner.
But we then see an incredibly grainy, tight shot on a television as the anthem continues to play, along with a montage of patriotic images. After we see a shot of the statue commemorating the Battle of Iwo Jima, the anthem ends and the television gives way to static. So if I'm not mistaken, this was a time before infomercials.
Right.
So that it just cut off.
Yes, this is what channels used to do. They didn't know what the fuck to do, and so they were just like, well, let's
turn it off.
Go America on everybody's ass, and then,
and then
break
we
out. Yeah, but now we have Slap Chop, so
set it and forget it.
But we pull back from the TV to reveal Steve Freeling, played by Craig T. Nelson, sleeping in a chair. His hand falls from his lap right into his plate of snacks that's just sitting on the floor. E-Buzz, the family dog, is like, oh, that shit's up for grabs?
Yeah.
Bet. And he fucking steals a bit of food before running up an oddly placed staircase to the second floor. Who designed this house?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And what we learn is that I guess every house is designed like this.
Yeah, they're all the same.
Yeah. So it's like little boxes.
Yeah.
Was it on the hillside?
Yeah.
But it was a choice.
It was a choice. And I do want to point out E-Buzz, which is the weirdest name for a pet I've ever heard. It is based on a Dan Aykroyd played character on Saturday Night Live. And I guess Dan Aykroyd also worked with Steven Spielberg on his previous film. So I don't know if this is like a little tribute to him.
I feel like a lot of this film is just Steven Spielberg shouting out his friends.
I think so too. It gets a little tedious and almost like seemingly feeling like illegal.
The Star Wars stuff? Is that what you're referring to?
It's
There's a lot.
It's a whole lot.
Just unashamed.
And I mean, sorry.
I saw a price tag on one of them and where to buy it.
Why not name the dog like Danny or something?
Yeah.
Like E-Buzz? That just makes people like, what the fuck?
What the fuck are you talking about? But once E-Buzz is upstairs, he runs into the master bedroom and finds Diane Freeling, played by JoBeth Williams, asleep in bed. He sniffs around the nightstand before bailing into the room of Dana Freeling, played by Dominique Dunn, who has crashed out in her bed. He then steals a bag of chips that she just had on her bed, I guess.
That dog is living his best life.
He is.
Yeah.
The chip part made me laugh out loud.
It made me laugh because he spilled them everywhere.
Well, and then he ate some. He knew what he was
Like
doing.
a frat house.
But he does. He takes him into the hall, eats him greedily, and then he goes in to check on the other kids, Robbie and Carol Ann, played by Oliver Robbins and Heather O'Rourke, respectively. As he bails, the camera inches closer towards Carol Ann, who wakes up. The score picks up as she gets out of bed. There's some odd, like, warping noises, along with some really nice strings. I think Jerry Goldsmith kills it with this score.
Yeah, he does.
I will admit that sometimes it feels very whimsical.
I was going to say playful.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah. I was going to say, because we get a shot of, like, the town and stuff in a minute, and it felt like almost the beginning of Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, dude. Like, and I want to talk about that because I feel almost like this is trying in a weird way to almost be a satire.
See, that's why when you said E.T., I was like, you fucker. I was like, God damn it.
You're not going to let that go.
I thought starting with the national anthem was a choice.
Oh, for sure.
There's a lot of American,
Yeah.
We'll get into it. I got more coming later. But Goldsmith also did the score for Alien, which we loved.
Chef's kiss.
And he's also scoring a film we might talk about before the month is over. Doesn't matter.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. But Carol Ann steps slowly down the stairs, making her way toward the flashing static of the television. She sits down in front of it and stares into it. She calls out, "Hello?" She then asks, "What do you look like?" Fucking terrifying, I do want to say.
I don't like any of it.
No, none of it. But she then shouts at the television for someone to talk louder because she can't hear them. At this point, we watch as her shouts wake up her mother and siblings who head downstairs as well. Steve, who is sat right behind her, wakes up too, but just watches as Carol Ann continues talking. She seems to be answering questions.
Yeah.
Why are we just watching this?
Yeah, that was my thing too. I was like, we're just gonna pretend like little Susie does this all the time.
Susie.
Like, this is normal.
Yeah,
It's like you're listening to half of a conversation.
Yeah.
Part of me would want to see it play out.
No.
I don't have children,
Yeah,
so I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't have an E-Buzz in this fight. But she stares into the television and says, 5, yes, I don't know. And they all just sit there watching her do this.
They did this on Family Guy too.
They did it better here. But she then puts both hands on the screen. We then transition to the next morning. It just ends there. There's no...
Yeah, that's it.
But in wide shots from a hillside, we see a sprawling suburban housing development accompanied by that peaceful, whimsical score and the opening credits.
Like, Danny Elfman, when did you get in
Yeah,
here?
no, seriously, no joke. I did want to point out that from the opening credits, we see that the film was shot by Matthew Leonetti, the brother of John Leonetti, who worked as first assistant cameraman on this film and would go on to direct Annabelle. Nay's favorite.
A favorite, yes.
Yeah. A favorite of the show.
Yeah.
He also sparked a lot of controversy because he said that he was on set every single day as the first assistant cameraman, and he said that Spielberg directed this film.
God damn.
Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
So you've been pissing people off since the 80s, bro.
Yeah, but I did want to point out that during a making of I watched, Spielberg said that the intention was to have this ordinary neighborhood
Right.
and allow for extraordinary things to happen with it.
I mean, I'm down for that premise.
Yeah, the contrast.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for things starting one way and then slowly. That's why I was like kind of expecting, like when you set the scene like this, everything out of place, you're going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So it really sets a good tone for things to start going wrong or for things to start getting creepy. That's why I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
It's Danny Elfman, we're this is, peaceful, but it kind of keeps that tone.
Yeah, when it shouldn't.
Throughout. Yeah.
I do want to say apologies to Steven Spielberg because I wasn't trying to imply
At the top.
Yeah, at the top that he has actual skeletons in his closet. It was just a joke.
They're
Not
in
trying
his
to get
pool.
sued. They're in his pool. No.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I think I'm just very upset about what he said about Tobe Hooper.
It wasn't cool.
Yeah.
No.
And we ride for Tobe Hooper in
Exactly.
this house.
It's not that I don't like Steven Spielberg. It's just that was very shitty.
Mm-hmm.
But
But anyway.
after shots of suburbia, cars driving down the street, kids riding bikes, playing around and whatnot, the music picks up and we see Jeff Shaw, played by Dirk Blocker, racing down the street on his bike, holding a case of beer at his hip. You may recognize him as Mullins from Prince of Darkness.
You know what? I feel like this show, you know how on Seinfeld he supposedly says something about Superman every episode?
That's going to become your shit.
And Prince of Darkness has to be shoehorned into every episode. As soon as you said his name, I don't know if you saw how
Yeah,
big
you were
my
like,
eyes
wait a
got. I didn't even recognize him because I was taken aback because we get that aerial shot of him and it looked like a child on a bike
Right.
and then
Yes.
it was a sweaty grown-ass man holding beer. So I
Bald.
was bald. So I was shocked by that. I
Yeah.
didn't even recognize him.
And he's sweaty as fuck. Why?
Yeah.
Why couldn't one of the dudes with a car go and pick up the beer?
That's maybe he
Is he the Bill Dauterive of the group?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's fucked up. But some neighborhood kids send RC cars after him, whimsical music playing as they cross at Jeff's front tire, causing him to drop the beer and kind of rack himself on the bike seat.
Those little fucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I threw that bike at those kids.
Oh, yeah.
Little
They're all-
fuckers. Yeah.
The remaining beers fucking dome this kid. But rather than fucking whip their asses, he just heads inside the Freeling home with the remaining beer spraying all over the place.
Why would you even bring
So,
those?
yeah.
I don't know. They're all over, dude.
Go dump them in the tub or throw them in the yard.
Something.
Just leave them there.
Yeah.
They're done.
But I mean, I guess 2 beers is better than none. I don't know.
But he goes in the house and just sits there with the beer spraying
spraying,
everywhere.
yeah.
And
well-
they're just like, let's just keep watching the
Yeah.
game. I'd be
It's like-
like, get the fuck out of my
Yeah.
house,
Yeah.
dude.
He's like, is it the second quarter? But I do want to point out again, I know we've said it a lot already, but this just feels like a Steven Spielberg film.
Yeah, it does.
And for me, I feel like I understand the collaborative effort between the two of them, but to me, it really does feel like a producer just overstepping their bounds.
Are you gonna ride him the whole?
No, I'm not. It's just really, I mean, to me, I feel like he hired fucking Tobe Hooper based on the
Yeah,
Texas
his work.
Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
So why are you going to micromanage everything?
Yeah.
If you love
Well,
him so much,
why
why
didn't
don't
he
you
just
let him work?
direct it?
Well, that's the other thing. He wasn't allowed to direct it.
And there it goes.
The reason he
Yeah.
wasn't allowed to direct it is because he was working on, I believe, E.T. at the time.
Uh-huh.
And so they wouldn't allow him to do 2 films at once, basically. And so he had to take a producer co-writer credit. And so that only lends credence to the rumors, which broke Tobe Hooper's heart. And that's what I don't want to do.
That's not why we're here today.
I know he's not with us anymore, but I still feel...
Yeah, we're still gonna respect his name.
Exactly. I don't know if you've heard the show. We do not ever speak ill of the dead here.
Never. Not once.
Never happens. But Jeff passes Dana in the kitchen, who is snacking on a cucumber and cheese from some cottage.
It was an enticing bowl of white.
It was, yes. She was very annoyed at him, though, and he's just, again, spraying beer all over the place. But he finally makes it into the living room filled with other dudes, still spraying beer, and the men do get over it quickly when a great play is made by their football team. So they're like, okay, priorities.
It's fine, yeah.
I can get a little wet. I know you like to get wet. But we then cut to Diane upstairs singing to herself as she cleans up the kids' room. We get a very hello to my friend George Lucas shot of some Star Wars bedsheets.
Yeah.
As well as a Star Wars poster.
Yes.
This is what I was talking, or what we were talking about at the front. Like
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And it doesn't end here. But after stumbling over some crushed soda cans on the floor, Diane notices inside a bird cage on the shelf that the family bird Tweety is no longer with us. She's initially sad at the sight of the dead bird, but then is a little annoyed that the bird could have waited to die on a school day.
Yeah.
It's very funny to me. I feel like the jokes land in this film.
Yeah.
They do.
I don't think I could ever do this to any kind of level of success because I'd be so paranoid that the kid would know if I switched out the dead animal with the live one.
Yeah, and I feel like pets unfortunately can be an important lesson on life and death and stuff. So, I mean, I don't know if they were like 2 or something. Yeah, maybe we'll just get a new Tweety, but they're a little bit older.
Yeah.
It's a conversation.
And I heard birds have personality.
Right.
Yeah,
I've
birds.
heard.
When you were talking about bird, is that what you were talking about bird?
It doesn't matter.
Birds are smart as fuck, dude.
I mean, they can speak sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is honestly horrifying.
Have you seen that movie, The Birds?
Once. May have covered it. Doesn't matter. But back downstairs, Steve and his friends are losing their shit with excitement at the game when the television unexpectedly switches to Mr. Rogers. I fucking laugh out loud at this because one of his friends goes, "Who the hell is this guy?"
I have that in my notes. I laughed because it happens more than once, and every time the guy's like, who is this?
Like, who is this icon of television I've never seen? Like, what the fuck? I would think in the 80s, everyone knows this dude.
Everyone does.
But Steve inspects the TV, switching it back, but then it changes again. He then realizes it's an issue with his neighbor, who just so happens to have the same universal remote. So he pokes his head out the window and starts to argue with his neighbor Ben, played by Michael McManus. Ben says that his kids want to watch Mr. Rogers, and obviously the men want to watch the game, so they get into a battle with the remotes, and hilarity ensues.
Yeah, the whole dueling remote. I was like, this is silly as fuck.
Yeah, dude.
Like, what is
It just
happening?
feels weird. I don't know. But I feel like it works to set this lighthearted tone to start. I mean, I know we're going places.
Again, I was like, oh, it makes sense.
He's
You
gonna be
put
mad at
the
me for this.
silly
Yeah.
in there so that it's not so scary when it happens later.
Yes.
And I was like, what the fuck?
And they do like kind of do this a lot after a really scary moment.
Yeah.
They try to make you laugh.
They don't let you sit in it.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, okay, ha ha. Like, we're fine. Everything's fine.
JP's like, if they put
That's
a
why-
fucking ghost in a bike basket, I am suing. But back upstairs, Diane heads to the bathroom with Tweety in hand. She primes the toilet with a flush, ready to drop the bird in, but gets caught by Carol Ann, who gasps.
Thank you for treating Tweety with the dignity and respect that he
Like,
deserved,
flush
Mom.
this bird like a turd.
Damn, dude.
Pretty tough.
We can't have a moment.
Yeah.
You're
No.
not going to replace it.
No.
You know, you can't replace it. The kids are home. So
Yeah.
you were just going to, what, Tweety flew away?
gone,
Like, what were you
yeah.
going to say?
The cage bird, sings or whatever. I don't know. It rarely sings. That's the exact opposite of the fuck I was talking about.
I was going to say the same thing. Why not bury it?
Yeah.
Have
And
it's
then
a
why
moment.
are you taking your sweet ass? If you're going to
Yeah.
flush it, you're standing there looking at it.
And
the
shut
door
the door.
open.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Holy shit, shut the door.
What are you doing?
It reminded me of when she flushed, when Julia flushed Frisky on Nip Tuck.
Nip Tuck. Why does
Oh,
it always
fuck.
come back to Nip
Because
Tuck?
everything comes back to Nip Tuck. But the thing is that I don't know that a fucking toilet pipes can handle an entire
Yeah,
bird
I
skeleton.
know.
If
Dude,
it couldn't handle a gerbil,
I was going to say that was so funny on Nip Tuck because it backed up the toilet and the plumber came and he was like, you sicken me.
dude, he goes, there'll be no charge. He was fucking
I don't want your
disgusted.
money.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame him. It was pretty rough. But in the backyard, Robbie saunters. I say saunter because he was walking so casually.
No, he was.
He was fucking sauntering past some flowers over to a large, threatening tree. He looks up at it, and the branches make it almost look like Goro from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
It's frightening.
It's very scary.
But he starts to climb it, which I did not expect.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to run away in fear or something, because that's what I would have done at age 3.
Oh, yeah, no.
But in the kitchen, Diane puts Tweety into an old cigar box with Carol Ann saying Tweety hates that smell asking her mom to put a flower in with him, which she does. Carol Ann takes the box and puts it on the dining room table. She puts the rest of a Twizzler she was eating inside for the box for when the bird gets hungry, then places a Polaroid of her, Robbie, and E-Buzz inside the box for when Tweety gets lonely, and then places a paper towel over him for when it's nighttime. Diane places the flower inside the box, closes it, and consoles her crying daughter.
It was so touching. Like, I would be fucking sobbing.
It was very sweet.
Diane held it together very well. I would like that. It was so sweet and touching.
I will say that I don't think she understands death yet because she just wasted half of a perfectly good Twizzler. But, I mean, in all honesty, I would say, are we a Red Vine family? So,
oh, yeah.
I mean, you can just put the Twizzler in the garbage.
It's Red Vines, big alligator mouth, Twizzlers.
Are shots fired?
Greater than Twizzlers. Are those shots?
Or facts?
If you're over 6 years old and you would pick a Twizzler over a Red Vine, we have to have a conversation.
Nay,
John Paul, why are you not saying anything?
I'm not eating either one of them. I don't.
Nay, you just cut our audience in half. So I hope it was worth it.
You know, actually, both are great.
Yes. Outside, Robbie sits high up on one of the branches watching as clouds encroach on the sky over the neighborhood. Just below him, Diane places the bird box into a very shallow grave. Mm-hmm. I had to put a Norm reference in here. Burying Tweety under a layer of dirt. Carol Ann does the Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep prayer, which I thought was called the Lord's Prayer, but it's just called Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep.
What's the Lord's Prayer then?
Isn't the Lord's Prayer the one where you say the Lord and stuff? I don't know, dude. I'm not religious.
I mean, I just watched all of Midnight Mass, so I'm basically an expert. But
we're theologians, aren't we now at this point?
You sounded so disappointed. I do not know the Lord's Prayer.
No.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone will share it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But for Dana, the cringe is real as she munches some celery, but Diane's like, stifle it, forcing her down to crouch next to them. Robbie calls out, asking if when the bird is all rotten, they can dig it up and see the bones.
Robbie.
Yeah.
Hey, she scolds him in her defense. He'd be in trouble. But she tells him to get down from that clearly evil tree. The dog begins to dig up the bird box, and Diane... the bird box. I didn't even realize. Sorry. But Diane rushes to stop him as Carol Ann excitedly asks if she can get a goldfish now.
Tweety isn't even cold.
No. Put some respect on this damn bird's name.
Let him at least finish the fucking Twizzler before you start replacing him, please.
But that night, a storm rages outside as Carol Ann feeds a couple of goldfish. As like, ask and you shall receive.
Yeah.
That was fast. I read on IMDb that Heather O'Rourke got to keep these goldfish.
Oh, nice.
I thought that was very sweet.
She seemed to really enjoy that.
Yeah. But we pan from a clown doll sitting in a chair over to Robbie sat on his bed reading a Captain America comic. So that's two America things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But can you veto your kid wanting a creepy fucking, like that doll on the chair?
I don't know. Not really, because my mother-in-law, when the kids were smaller, gave them some very scary ass dolls one time, and I hated them, and there was nothing I could do about it.
Well, you could have said, they got lost in transit or something.
No,
they got up and left.
Yeah, and they would believe
it. They could have.
The kids liked them.
They did. I did not.
But that clown at the end of the bed, that's just nightmare
terrifying.
fuel.
Yeah, no, it's terrifying.
Oh, yeah. But she's going to kill those fish.
Oh,
she's
yeah.
still feeding them.
They're like, please, we're full.
She's still back there feeding them.
And while he's reading, she's still just dumping it. But the lightning flashes outside the window, casting a shadow of that evil tree against the wall. Robbie gets up slowly and stares out of his window at the tree, which is definitely striking a come at me, bro, fucking pose.
Yeah. I would have immediately closed my blinds.
Oh,
I was like, you already look mad at me. I don't need to,
Like,
I'm
is this
not
for climbing you earlier? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I didn't mean it. But he just, sits back on his bed and goes back to reading instead of, I'm like, come on, you're obviously scared of it. But Diane pops in to check on the kids, gently admonishing Carol Ann for overfeeding the fish. She tucks her into bed, joking that if you overfeed a goldfish, it'll grow into a shark.
Yeah.
And she playfully chomps on her neck as Carol Ann is absolutely living for this joke. Yeah. She should have been like the shark from Jaws.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
She's like, Carol Ann?
Great film. I wonder who made it.
Pulls out the VHS.
Yeah,
Like,
let's just watch
You want to watch it before bed?
But as she turns the lamp off, Carol Ann stares at the fish like, maybe. She looks very afraid. But Robbie is worried about the storm that's headed their way, so Diane tells him that if he goes to bed right now, he'll be asleep when it gets here. She turns off his lamp, but Carol Ann reminds her to turn on the closet light before leaving, which she does. They say their goodnights, and Diane leaves the room. First of all, there was an alien poster on the wall, which was very cool.
Yeah.
But this feels like a very lived-in family.
Oh, yeah.
It really does. I was going to bring that up in the next scene with the parents, especially.
Oh, man, yeah.
Like, it's not... I like watching shit where the married couple actually likes each other or actually interacts with each other or feels like they're actually together.
Right. Yeah.
And you definitely get that here. Like,
it
really does feel like a real family.
I think we kind of talked about that a bit with Margot Kidder and James Brolin last week.
Yeah.
Right.
Where if you put... Maybe it's just chemistry between actors.
Yeah.
Because there's really no real history that they talk about completely. Like, remember that time we went to the Bay? And,
Remember when we got married?
Yeah. 9 years ago today or whatever. It just feels like these actors are not acting, and it's refreshing.
Yeah.
But in the master bedroom, Diane and Steve are smoking pot while watching the 1943 film A Guy Named Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised by this.
I was surprised as well.
I can dig it.
Yeah.
I was like, not getting high just in bed. Like,
Yeah.
y'all didn't even go on the porch.
But this is never like, this is like normal. There's nothing wrong with it. And that's one thing that I will say I absolutely loved.
Yes.
There's no stigma behind it. It's just, this is what we do.
It's just what they're
That's
doing.
it,
They could have been eating popcorn and it would have been the same
They're
thing.
still parents.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
still go through everything. Everything's fine.
I think that's what stuck out to me is that they showed they're a happy couple.
Right.
They showed that they're successful in whatever field they're in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They showed that they're great parents, and they smoke pot.
Smoke a little ganj.
That's It doesn't
Yeah.
you understand because
They were getting high. Like,
Oh,
No,
they
they
were.
were. They were. But especially at the time, it's just a little surprising.
it's
And
very
Yeah.
surprising.
for how wholesome
Yeah.
this movie
Yeah.
is, I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, and again, rated fucking
Yeah.
PG. But I did want to talk about the film that they're watching.
Mm-hmm.
It's a film called A Guy Named Joe. And when Spielberg first met the co-writers of Poltergeist, the guys who actually wrote the screenplay, because I think he just wrote the treatment,
Right.
it was to talk about them remaking A Guy Named Joe with him.
All right.
And so the other idea brought up at the meeting was Poltergeist, which they obviously made instead.
Right.
But Spielberg would go on to remake this film in 1989. And so it's like
The Thing in
Yeah.
Halloween.
and again, this would make a lot of sense to put this in here if Spielberg directed this film.
Right.
But you're kind of fucking shoehorning your shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, what I heard was Tobe Hooper didn't really say a lot. So
Did you hear that from your pal Steve?
just kidding.
Another thing I did want to point out is that in A Guy Named Joe, it features Drew Barrymore's great uncle.
Oh, hey.
All right.
And we all know that she would star in E.T.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She actually auditioned to be Carol Ann in this film,
Uh,
but Heather O'Rourke obviously got the role.
Right.
Yeah.
But Spielberg kept her in mind, and the rest is history.
all right.
Love Drew Barrymore in
Oh,
this
yeah.
house.
Yeah, she's
I
great.
adore her.
But Diane is reading up on sleepwalking, saying that she thinks it's genetic. Carol Ann last night and all last week, and her when she was 10. I was like, so this has been going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, well, I guess that makes sense then why they weren't freaking out. They're like, oh, she's just sleepwalking
I guess,
again.
but it's just been a week. And was she having a full-blown conversation
Yeah.
every night? That's what, it's not the sleepwalking so much. It's that, I don't know. Like, you're answering something.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't like it.
No. Well, I remember when we were kids, you sleptwalked and
Here we go.
you were looking for an apple
I was.
that was not in your dresser, but you still tried. I mean,
But I was muttering to myself. I wasn't like,
no,
my app.
No,
my,
time out. Because mom and dad
Let
were
me
like,
rewrite
what?
history.
I'm
God
not
damn
allowing
it.
it. Mom and dad were like, what are you doing? And like, I'm looking for my apple. Like, don't you understand? And so
You fools.
you say weird shit. So, I mean, I wouldn't be, I don't know, if this has been going on for a week or two.
Yeah. When my oldest daughter was younger, she used to sleepwalk. It wasn't as bad, but I would just kind of lead her back to her room and then, go back to bed.
Yeah.
Okay. And then she'd just go to sleep.
So she wasn't having a full conversation with the staticky TV.
No, but I mean, I'm also asleep and then I just...
You're like, maybe she wasn't.
I don't know.
He's like, I just guided her back. That's all I remember.
Well, I wake up for the smallest shit.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
I hear something, I'm going to get up. And then seeing that, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then I just realized, oh, she's sleepwalking. I was like, well, fuck.
They say you should never wake a sleepwalker, but I don't know if that's a hoax or not.
I don't either.
I never did it just because I heard the same thing.
Yeah.
I didn't want to chance it.
No.
It's like stepping on the
Fucking
crack.
turns
Sounds
to
kinda
dust
scary.
and blows away. You're like, oh my God, I should have listened. But Steve gives up on rolling a joint for himself and passes it to Diane to finish it for him. He then picks up a book about Ronald Reagan, which again, more patriotism. I was like, what the fuck? Also, pretty sure the Gipper and his bullshit drug policy would frown upon getting a blunt rolled on top of him.
But, you know.
But fuck Ronald Reagan.
You know what they say, T.
Speak ill of the dead. The look on my face when I realized what I had done.
Oh, shit.
Oh, God. But Diane tells a story about how when she was a kid, she sleepwalked?
Sleepwalked.
She sleepwalked for 4 blocks and fell asleep in the back of some guy's car. He drove all the way to work before realizing that she was even there. But she woke up and fucking screamed. People call the cops, and the guy gets arrested. But the story ends with her saying that she was embarrassed. It's like, what about the guy, though?
Yeah, so what happened?
That's like terrifying.
She's like, man, I was so embarrassed.
He's
Anyway,
still in prison.
It's like, oh my God. But Diane expresses concern that Carol Ann could sleepwalk into the empty pool once it's dug out in their backyard. But Steve sets her mind at ease and gets her to crack up a bit by demonstrating an Olympic caliber swan dive and being a living before and after photo by sucking in his gut.
I thought that was so cute.
It's like he knew how to cheer her up.
Yeah.
And it worked. But we cut to Robbie, wide awake in bed, staring out his window at that evil tree. Carol Ann, on the other hand, is still spying those fish, making sure they don't become sharky. That's when Robbie turns his attention to the equally evil clown sitting at the chair in the foot of his bed. He pantomimes shooting it, but the clown is unfazed.
Yeah.
He's like, mime shit doesn't work on me, kid. I'm a clown.
Yeah.
I invented that shit.
Yeah.
I don't understand why that clown is there and propped up because Robbie doesn't even seem like he likes it.
No.
Yeah.
Is that like an heirloom or something?
I don't know. He doesn't even seem like he wants it there. So I don't understand.
And his bed.
Yeah.
Right.
Throw it in the
because it's
closet.
right there
Yeah.
at the foot of his bed.
I don't get it. Put it in storage.
So throw it in the trash.
Burn it.
Well, hold on.
But he creeps out of bed and throws, of course, a Chewbacca blanket on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say, I do understand it's 1982. Kids are probably really into Star Wars.
I mean, it is authentic to that point because when your kid's into something, that's all they want. I want
Yeah.
all, Sonic shit, or I want, like, that's how kids are.
Right.
But we know that's your friend,
Yeah,
dude.
exactly.
That makes me side-eye.
But it was everywhere.
It was.
There was
Yeah.
a Vader mask. He
Yeah.
had a little
Yeah.
Yoda toy. There was a poster.
Probably
Yeah.
his pajamas.
Yeah.
The-
Light switch.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. The
That's
lights
the
were-
most egregious one for me. We'll get to that in a bit because it actually actively made me angry. I do want to point out that all these special effects that we'll get to later on in the film were done by Industrial Light and Magic, which is George Lucas's company. And so it's even more.
I'm talking shit, but like if I were to make something, all of my friends' shit would be in it.
Well,
Of course.
I just don't. I feel like it's easier when your friend isn't, didn't make fucking Star Wars.
Because if it's your friend wrote a book and you put the book in a scene,
Exactly.
that's different than your friend making one of the biggest franchises in the history of the world.
Yeah.
But back in the master bedroom, Steve and Diane are just flat out horsing around. Diane keeps a death grip on that joint, though, and she's laughing her ass off. But in the doorway, though, Robbie appears, telling them that the storm is coming closer.
Robbie's like, it smells loud in here.
It's like, I know the bird died. Did you guys get a skunk? But he hops on the bed, and Steve gives him a veggie back ride all the way back to his bed. Robbie says that he doesn't like the tree that's outside the window and that it knows he lives here. Steve says the tree has been around forever, even before his company built the neighborhood. He says he built the house next to it so the tree could protect them. I think it was a pretty organic way to get at what Steve does for a living.
Yeah.
A lot of exposition, but it doesn't hurt.
No.
Yeah. I mean, we needed that information, and I feel like there could have been cheesier or more. There could have been much worse ways for us to get that information.
100%. But he tells Robbie that the storm is going to pass, and he teaches him that old counting game between lightning and thunder to count the seconds. They try it out, counting to 3 before the thunder crackles. He promises that Robbie will get to 4 or 5 the next time he tries the count. After not taking a phone call from Carol Ann's toy phone, he goes to tuck her in. But she says that she doesn't want a blanket because it's too hot. After Steve says goodnight, he waits in the hall as Robbie plays the counting game and actually gets to 4. Steve looks very proud of himself and closes the door.
I didn't understand. They still didn't close the window. Just close the window.
If it's scaring him.
Yeah.
I like the way he comforts him and, you know, and all that.
Yeah.
And like y'all said, it does feel organic. Just close the window, dude. I mean,
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
I don't know.
He's like, stop being such a pussy,
yeah,
dude.
it's clearly
Jesus Christ.
causing a problem.
I'm just like, I don't.
Yeah.
That's the easiest thing you
Yeah.
could
It
have
is.
done.
But he's like, you ever heard of the counting game? He's like, I'm scared to death. But he hears Dana on the phone in the next room and frightens the shit out of her when he opens the door to say goodnight. He closes it and then opens it again, telling her to stay off the phone.
Yeah.
It's real teenage shit.
It is.
But the kids continue playing the counting game, getting to 5 this time. However, we get loud shots of crackling thunder and lightning, and then in the next shot, we see Carol Ann and Robbie sandwiched between Diane and Steve in their bed.
That made me laugh because that's real shit.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like they do a lot of really funny editing.
Yeah.
Like that quick cut is comedy gold, I think. That's really good.
We don't need anything in between. We know
No.
exactly what happened.
We know the story.
Yeah, it was very funny.
But we hear the national anthem sounding from the television as the station is going off the air again. The camera lifts from the bed into a wide shot of the whole room, including the TV. As the anthem draws to a close, the camera presses in on the TV as it gives way to static.
I feel like that would wake me up.
The sound of the
Yeah.
static?
Yes.
It's not like the ocean. It's fucking...
No,
Yeah.
it's like jarring. Static has never come on a TV and I'm like, oh, I didn't notice. Like that shit is scary.
Like, wow, that's soothing. Not really. I did want to point out that the time on the TV is 2:37, maybe a reference to The Shining.
Hey, take a shot.
But we hear whispers in the static, and Carol Ann wakes up, drawn once again to the television. She crawls out of the bed and over to the TV. We see shining spots in the static, and as Carol Ann reaches out to them, a ghostly hand shoots out of the television. It dissolves into a smoke that hovers above the bed, but then out of nowhere, a beam of light blasts from the TV into the wall above the headboard of the bed.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like this shit is, it was just, we couldn't even hear whispers last night.
Yeah, now it's just...
Now we're fucking doing this shit.
This is pure escalation.
Damn, dude.
It's like, oh, you couldn't hear me, huh? Speak up, you say? No. But as it disappears into the wall, the entire room begins to shake, waking up everyone in bed. They look at Carol Ann, who stands at the foot of the bed, and she looks at them, the static still behind her, and says, "They're here."
Why are there never follow-up questions?
The scene ends.
Who is they? How do you know? What's going on? What did you hear? What the fuck? Why is the room shaking?
And why are you sing-songy? Because
Why are you so chill,
Why'd you
Carol
wake
Ann?
us up for that? Like you couldn't have waited till morning?
can't tell us at breakfast.
Yeah, what the fuck?
They're just like, anyway, like the scene's
Yeah.
just over.
Shit. It is. And then when we return to the family in the morning, it's not the first thing they talk about.
Yeah. at
I'm
all.
like, y'all are too chill.
Way too chill.
Yeah.
But the next morning, we see construction workers digging out a hole for the pool in the Freelings' backyard. In their digging, we see Tweety's cigar box just fucked off into a pile of dirt.
Poor Tweety. Just
Yeah,
disrespect.
I know.
The
Absolute
entire
disrespect. The
film.
bird should have been named Rodney Dangerfield, but
He gets no respect.
no respect. You know, the only bird that I would allow to be disrespected this much is the bird from the cabin in the woods.
Fuck that bird.
That bird deserves all the hate. Fuck that bird forever. But as the kids enjoy their breakfast, Steve is on the phone trying to convince the person on the other end that there was an earthquake last night, despite no mention of it on the radio. Robbie feeds E-Buzz a whole ass waffle under the table, which, made me realize it's been too long since I've had a waffle.
Yeah.
Man, waffles are great.
They're great. I am the highly suggestible type. We should get waffles after this. But a mini food fight ensues as Diane passes out more waffles. I laughed out loud because Robbie calls Carol Ann a barf bag, and Carol Ann calls him a doggy bag, and Diane goes, "That's a good one." She's like, you're improving. That's fantastic. But Diane finally asked the important question. What did Carol Ann mean last night when she said, "They're here"?
Yeah, we have this little cute back and forth. I'm like,
Yeah.
everybody shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Because I need to hear about the TV people. Like,
Yes.
what are you talking about?
What is this?
Nobody's eating breakfast until I find out what the fuck's going on.
But that's all Carol Ann replies with. She says it was the TV people.
Yeah.
The jokes between the kids continue as Robbie raises his glass of milk to take a drink, but the bottom of it shatters, spilling milk on Dana's homework, and she rushes off pissed.
No one is concerned.
Yeah.
I rewound it. I was like, did he
No.
hit it on something?
Dude, no.
It just fucking explodes in his hand. And everybody's just like, well, gotta go to school. Like, what are you talking about?
I will say Robbie's a little bit of a piece of shit because he spills the milk on her shit, even though it was not his fault.
It wasn't his fault.
He goes, not my mess. I
Yeah,
was like,
he
dude,
did.
I swear to God.
It's like, that's not what
That-
you should have said.
No.
dude.
That's
dude.
just little brother shit,
That,
dude.
I would have never done that to you.
I don't know, man.
I know. I would have been like, Nay, let's get a towel.
Okay. Sure.
Not
sure,
my
pal.
mess. I'm going to spill some coffee later just to piss you off. But Steve gets off the phone and says goodbye to everyone, and Carol Ann rushes to a stool at the counter, sitting directly in front of a mini TV. As Diane cleans up the milk mess, Carol Ann switches the TV from Gene Shalit to static and just stares into it.
Yeah.
Something is going on.
Clearly.
Yeah, she's acting funny right away.
Yes.
Well, just turn it off. Yeah, just turn it off.
No TV for
Yeah.
you.
And as we've determined, the TV is definitely playing a huge part
yeah.
in this.
Yes.
So I don't know, but this is when Robbie looks down at his plate, slowly picking up his utensils to see that they are all bent to hell.
Which is creepy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No.
No.
That's all I got.
No, please.
No, please.
No for me.
Put me down for no. But outside, the construction continues as Dana snags her bike to head to school. The workers take notice of her and start catcalling. Dana responds by flipping them off in 3 different ways, and Diane watches from the window, chuckling to herself.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
We'd be whooping some construction
oh my
worker
God,
ass.
You're fucking fired. Get off my
Yes.
property. She's a teenage
I
girl.
think she's 16, we learn later.
She is a
Right.
teenage
I
girl.
was a little confused because I was like, okay, maybe she was waiting to see if she was going to stick up for herself. But then again, it's like, but she's a kid.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
like, that's your kid.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
You should have at least been out there right away and be like, what the fuck's going on?
I feel like I don't fully know how to explain it, but I have issues with the way Dana's character is handled at all in this film.
Not great.
Like the way that they treat her and the way that they have her, she is honestly not even needed.
No, it could have really just been Robbie and Carol Ann.
Yeah. And I'll talk more about it as we go on, but it starts here and it's gross. She's a kid. If you just wanted a character that dudes are going to ogle,
Make her college or something?
Make her, Diane's sister that's staying here for a while, or, Dana's back from college.
Right.
The way that they do her, not only here, it is weirdly sexual and it's gross. Like, I just have a huge problem
There's a couple
with it.
things later.
There's more. It's
Yeah.
every time she's on screen after this. It's something. It bothered me.
There's
It just
one
That
bothered
was
me.
weird.
There's one detail at the very end that I didn't
Yes,
even notice until
that
my latest rewatch.
It wasn't necessary.
No.
Like, we'll talk about it when we get there, but it pissed me off.
No, did it really?
I know I'm usually super chill,
Oh, yeah.
but I didn't like it.
Cool as a cucumber in that bowl of white.
That's me.
Right.
But yeah, it's starting here. I was like, ooh, I don't like
Yeah.
that. And this is a movie from the 80s, and there are a lot of movies that it's like, ooh, that didn't age well. Not that it
Of
was ever
course.
okay.
Right.
But I kind of chalked it up to that here, where I'm like, oh, I bet he wishes he could take that out.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But it keeps happening.
Now, I do want to point out, I do like that she sticks up for herself.
I
Yeah.
do too, but
That's a great moment
I
for
don't
her,
like
but-
that Diane's just like, yeah, get it, girl.
Yeah.
It does not end here.
You're
No.
fucking fired.
No, someone's going under that steamroller.
Calling the police.
But Diane turns around to scold E-Buzz for trying to eat Robbie's remaining breakfast. She pushes all the chairs in at the table, reminding Carol Ann that she just told them to push their chairs in when they leave. She then notices her daughter is becoming one with the television and tells her that she's going to ruin her eyes and that it's not good for her. So she switches the TV to an incredibly violent war film.
That's what. Or I thought it was like a Western or a shootout or something.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. You're going to hurt your eyes looking at that.
Yeah,
Bang, bang.
yeah, watch this.
Watch some
Yeah.
people die.
It was even the Wilhelm scream. It made me laugh. But again, I feel like there's a little bit of commentary there. Maybe with the TV, maybe they're trying to say that the TV is,
Yeah.
doing something to households.
I can see that, and it's not wrong.
Yeah.
No, it's entertaining them. Now,
Right. It's bringing joy.
yes. But Diane heads upstairs to wet a towel, but notices that the dog has jumped on their bed and is barking loudly at the spot on the wall that the fucking TV shot into last night.
Yeah.
I guess she didn't see that, so she doesn't really
Right.
have that knowledge, but she asks what he's doing, but he hops down and grabs a toy and returns to the wall, dropping the toy in anticipation of playtime.
Yeah, that I would have been like, all right, nope. Like, yeah,
What is
let's
going
go.
on? Oh my God, that's terrifying.
I don't want to say that the dog was smiling, but the dog the dog was looking up and smiling.
He was having a great time.
He was. But Diane does look a little weirded out, but not enough for my taste. And she just returns to the kitchen and finds one of the construction workers reaching in through the window to drink a cup of coffee and taste her sauce on the stove with a spoon and put it back into the pot.
So this was another one of those scary to comedy things.
Right.
And
Good point.
Like, I mean,
didn't-
immediately.
Yeah, it was
I
right
didn't
away.
even read it as commentary. Comedy. I was very angry.
Well, no, yeah.
That's
but
disgusting. Disgusting. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Even if you hadn't just catcalled my teenage daughter, I'm whooping that ass.
Yeah, you put it in your dirty
Who
fucking mouth,
Who does that?
and she's like, just handles it playfully
Yeah.
and
She's
closes
like,
the blinds.
get out of here.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's the only reason I called it as the comedy, because I was like, you're not mad. I was
No.
like,
no, it
that's-
definitely was supposed to be comedy, but
And she calls him by name.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would have been very
No.
upset.
Well, he already would have been fucked up from before.
Yeah.
So he'd be drinking that sauce through a straw, but
It's like, where are the boundaries? If,
Yeah.
okay, I know you enough to call you by your first name, but you're hitting on my 16-year-old kid? Nah, man.
Dude,
nah,
it was,
son. Not
it was,
today.
It was creepy
Yeah.
too, because that guy was like, I love you. I was like, oh my God, this is fucking gross, dude. But when Diane turns around, she sees that all the chairs at the dining room table have been pushed out. Carol Ann reaches up from behind, scaring the shit out of her.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Diane makes a crack about ending up in a cigar box covered in licorice, which kind of reminds me of that tragedy.
It's a little soon, Mom.
A little bit, one would think. Although she did move on to the goldfish very quickly.
She did.
Yeah.
But she asked Carol Ann if she moved the chairs. She says she didn't. Diane pushes all the chairs in, and the camera follows her behind the counter as she retrieves some cleaner. But when she turns back to the table, we see all the chairs are stacked on top of the table in a pyramid.
I loved this.
Yes.
And there's a very similar scare in The Sixth Sense.
Fair.
Right.
Very fair.
Yeah.
That's one thing that this film, honestly, now we'll talk later about how much it took from other properties,
Uh-huh.
but it really inspired a shit ton of things.
Right.
Yeah.
I do want to say very quickly about how they did this, because this is a one shot.
Yeah.
There's
wow.
not a cut in this shot.
It's so good.
Yes. They took the shot of her at the table, then she went behind the counter with the camera following her.
Right.
A bunch of crew members run in, remove all the chairs, and then they bring in a pyramid of chairs that they've already made.
Ah, all right. And
Yes.
Throw it on top.
Because I was
Very
like,
cool.
how did they stack them that quickly?
Y'all did
Nope.
not have time to
It
do
was
that.
it was pre-made pyramid, and it worked so well.
Right.
Very cool.
It's like, it's time to tell your friends to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause no more of this
Yeah.
shit. But this obviously shocks the hell out of Diane. She turns to Carol Ann and asks, "TV people?" Carol Ann says yes. She asks if she sees them, and Carol Ann says no. Diane scoops her up, and they get closer to the chairs, somewhat enthralled.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I would get that close to those chairs.
Yeah.
No.
But in a pretty neat dissolve, we watch as the table and chairs disappear as we're taken to an empty house with the same layout where Steve is showing a couple around.
I liked that.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
And it really, all these houses are exactly the same.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It's kind of almost, I mean, it weirds me out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is phase 4 of the Cuesta Verde estates. The Freelings live in phase 1, which the couple says has a lived-in look. Steve goes full salesman, and he's like, we got a saying around here. The grass is greener on every side.
Yeah.
Steve.
And they laugh, and he's like, all right, I want him back.
Yeah.
But the husband of the couple says that all the houses look the same, but Steve regales them on how his neighbor fit a jacuzzi into his house as a way to explain how customizable these homes are. But that night, Steve arrives home, and as soon as he gets out of the car, Diane rushes out of the house and pulls him inside to the kitchen, saying he needs to hurry before it stops again. Once there, we see a circle drawn on the floor in chalk as well as an arrow. She tells him that Carol Ann knows about this, but Dana and Robbie are in the dark. Robbie would be scared, and Dana can't keep a secret. She grabs a chair and tells Steve to keep an open mind.
No, she says, keep an open mind, like you used to have.
That was a little rough.
Damn, Diane.
Well, he is reading fucking Reagan. But Carol Ann walks in saying Mom didn't cook dinner, but Diane tells her that they'll go out for Pizza Hut later. This is very important in a second. But she tells Steve to watch as she places a chair into the drawn circle on the floor. Suddenly, the chair begins to rock and is then dragged across the floor to another drawn circle on the other end. Diane cheers loudly and Carol Ann yawns.
She's like super excited.
She is.
Carol Ann is fucking over.
She's like, I've seen this shit like all day, dude. The fact that you're still this excited, I'm happy for you. But
I love that for you, but I want pizza.
Yes. Did you not hear I was hungry? But Steve puts his hand over his mouth and walks over to the chair to inspect it. Diane then pops a football helmet on Carol Ann and sits her down on the circle. All Carol Ann cares about is food, which, same. But the experiment is a success when she's dragged across the floor into the arms of her father at the other end. Diane tells Steve to try it next, but he looks absolutely zonked.
Yeah, I don't know.
Part of me, I think I would have
try
to.
It. That's probably out of character for me, but I would. If I came home and you weren't scared, you were that... She is fucking over the moon. You were that excited, yeah, I'd try it.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that everything is okay.
But she says that when you do it, you feel a tickling and then you get pulled. She says it's like there's no air, but you can breathe, and then you get pulled and the scene cuts abrupt as fuck.
Yeah.
Now, I explained this on Not Your Final Girl, but I will explain it again here.
Yeah, that's the only reason I had any context for it, because it's jarring and not in a good way.
It's so surprising that it is even in the film.
Yeah.
To me, especially when you have these names attached.
Right.
You would think they would have found another way around it.
Right.
But here's what happened. This scene was supposed to end with Steve saying, "I hate Pizza Hut."
Right.
So somehow Pizza Hut catches wind of the rough cut of this film and they're like, "You hate what?"
Who snitched?
I don't know. Fucking Craig T. Nelson. He's like, I felt bad saying that. No, but long story short, they made them cut the scene. And it's already rushed to print, so they can't, reshoot it or whatever.
Yeah.
So they have to cut it abruptly, and that's how we end up with this really weird abrupt cut because of fucking Pizza Hut.
That's dumb.
Isn't that nuts?
It's not like your pizza's fucking trash. It's just,
Yeah. And even people saying Pizza Hut at all, people were like, "Ooh, let's get Pizza Hut after this."
Oh yeah, no shit.
You know what I mean? That's how I am.
They
I'm like,
literally
Pizza Hut sounds great.
The second Carol Ann brought it up, I was like, pan the buttery crust of a pan pizza. I don't know. But I mean, if I don't give a fuck what Steve Freeling isn't my fucking hero.
Now I hate pizza.
I hate it too.
Right.
Come on.
Like you said, if anything, now I want Pizza Hut.
Just mentioning it.
We should go get some Pizza Hut after this. Pizza Hut and waffles. But very abruptly in the next scene, we see Steve and Diane at the front door of Ben's house, the universal neighbor, the universal remote neighbor.
Yeah.
He isn't from outer space. But after an odd discussion about mosquitoes and a ton of awkward laughter, Steve explains that something weird is going on at their house, and Diane asks if Ben has noticed anything weird at their house.
I just want to point something out very quickly because it made me laugh. The fact that it looks like he's just eating a plate of beans was funny to me. And also the fact that, people come to your door unexpectedly, people or like the mail person or whatever. I've never been eating when someone came to the door and took my meal to the door.
No.
I found that very comical.
No,
I don't know if it was just me.
My meal stays cold in the house.
He continued to eat.
He
it
did.
was very
He did.
funny.
And also his fucking family tree of who's been bitten by a mosquito is very weird.
Yeah.
This whole thing was weird.
He's like, I don't think anybody in my family's been bitten. It's like, how do you...
How do
okay,
you know
dude.
that?
Yeah.
Weird flex, but
Damn.
okay.
Yeah. It's like, we're actually immune. I don't give a fuck. Have you noticed anything weird? That's what I asked.
Them being high and laughing was the funniest
That was funny.
shit.
It is great. I wonder if they had Pizza Hut smoked pot and then came over there is what happened.
That's what it looked like.
Pizza
Yeah.
Hut.
Because they were laughing very hard.
We're getting Pizza Hut.
Yeah, I think we have to. Not a sponsor, but Diane gets specific. She's like, dishes or furniture moving on their own, etc. Stuff like that. Ben just stares confused. And that's where it kind of ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole don't know that this scene was necessary at all.
I feel like it was necessary to explain what's happening to Steve right now in the next scene, but
okay.
I don't know that it's worth it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because back at the Freeling house, Diane is putting calamine lotion on Steve, who is scratching feverishly from all the mosquito bites. And I guess we wouldn't have known how he got those.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But they never talk about them again.
No.
It's not like he has calamine lotion for the rest of the film.
I thought it was going to be like the flies from Amityville, where mosquitoes may be a part of it.
Nope.
No, just
They're
one
not.
scene. He's fine. But Steve says that they need to keep this in the family. But he also says that he'll call someone in the morning to check everything out. Diane's like, who are you going to call? Ghostbusters isn't out for 2 more years. But she does say that there's nothing in the phone book for anything like this. And she's right.
You've looked.
I've looked, yeah. I wanted to make sure. In the kids' bedroom, though, Robbie plays the counting game as a storm rages outside. Back in the master bedroom, Diane basically tells Steve to chill out about the phenomena that they've experienced, but he says that no one goes in the kitchen until he understands what's going on.
Dad move.
Yeah, which, I mean, I can't fault him.
Yeah.
Because it could be dangerous if they're moving objects as heavy as a
I'm
kid.
not going to lie. I would probably let myself be pulled across the kitchen, but I'd be a little annoyed if you were letting the kids do it before I got there. Because she just put Carol Ann on there. She's like, check this shit out. And Carol Ann did it like, okay, Mom, for the
Whatever.
50th time. Yeah. You don't know what's happening.
We would monetize this, I think.
Oh.
Kitchen rides.
Exactly.
$5 a piece.
It smells funny in there.
No, it doesn't.
But back in the kids' room, Robbie continues the game, but the thunder is getting closer every time he counts. The tree looms in the darkness, then with a flash of lightning, its branches smash through the window and grab Robbie, pulling him outside. Carol Ann screams, and Diane and Steve rush in to see Robbie completely being scooped up.
Yeah, that tree had hands.
No, it literally had hands, and I appreciated it because I feel like in other films, this wouldn't be happening when they got there.
Yeah.
True.
So it's like, nah, I'm taking this kid. Like, I don't care who sees.
Well, yeah, because, how else do you explain the smashed window?
Yeah.
The tree's just standing there. It's like,
Well,
I didn't do anything.
I feel like it would be like, oh, it was probably hail. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's always that moment where shit starts getting real and half the family's like, no, it's not.
Well, it's like JP says, the dumb thing where the parents don't believe the kids.
Yes, that drives me nuts. But here it's like, oh.
No, that tree
it's happening.
that tree's after that kid, and he's got him. But they run downstairs and try to open the back door, but the tree is blocking that door too. Back in the kids' room, a light glows out of the open closet, and we hear a whisper saying, "Let's go play."
No.
Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
So I'll put you down for no as well.
No, please.
That tree like kicked that door closed.
It did. It's like, no. But we watch as countless objects get pulled into the closet like a vacuum as Carol Ann holds onto her headboard for dear life, screaming for her parents. Now, this was accomplished, I believe, with a massive vacuum because they used the same thing later to get all these objects in there. But at several points, Carol Ann is a doll.
Yeah.
I have in my notes, that was clearly a doll, LOL.
But Steve and Diane finally make it outside with Dana watching from the window.
I get you went to go save the boy, but you just left the baby alone.
He did.
Like, completely alone.
I don't know if it's a matter of...
They're like, she'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, she didn't get snatched by a tree.
Yeah, but...
Although
No,
she's the
but-
one that the TV people love the most.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there's clearly some freaky... Nobody's alone. Nobody's alone right now.
We're all traveling together.
Yeah.
We're saving this kid from the tree.
Yeah. They're like, Carol Ann, you good?
Yeah.
We'll be right back. But as an actual fucking tornado wreaks havoc in the background, the tree is literally swallowing Robbie whole.
Yeah.
And Steve is trying his damnedest to ruin that meal.
I flashed on Krampus the way
Yes.
that, I mean,
Yes.
I was like,
That looked funny.
that's undeniable. Like, you're literally eating this child.
I read that they filmed it backwards.
All right.
Okay.
And the tree was actually spitting him out.
It looked good.
It looks great.
Yeah.
And in the little behind the scenes thing that I saw, Tobe Hooper was directing from a chair seemingly on top of the roof of the house.
Was he directing?
He was directing.
He was there.
Yeah. Spielberg's like, just like looking
He's
mad
got
in
his
the
hand
corner.
on his shoulder.
Yeah.
It's like
a fucking
it's like
a movie we can't spoil.
Oh man. But we have covered
Yes,
it.
it's a movie we've covered. But back upstairs, Carol Ann loses her grip on the headboard as it snaps, and the doll of her is sucked into the closet.
The doll.
But the force of the vacuum pulls both beds, flipping them to block the door. Now, I'm sure the vacuum is very powerful that they use, but I'm pretty sure these beds were attached to like some kind of wire.
No, the vacuum did it.
I don't ever want to be near this vacuum.
No.
I'll be like a dog. I don't want any part of it. But the tree then uproots itself, snagging Robbie's leg with the vine, but it eventually loses out and gets sucked into the tornado. The angle that it happens, it felt very Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the family watches as the tornado dissipates. Dana runs outside and is like, Mom, Dad, it's a tornado. I was like, no shit, kid.
Yeah.
But she's like, if it hit the house, it could have. And then she just trails off and is done.
Yeah.
Again, inconsequential.
Yeah.
But this is when Steve calls out for Carol Ann, realizing, like JP said, that they just left her upstairs.
It's like, oh yeah, we have another kid.
Yeah, oh fuck. But they rush inside, moving the debris away from the closet and forcing their way inside the closet. They find what appears to be a body covered in a pink sheet, and they all like break into sobs like a cartoon real quick. Like, you don't even know what's happened yet.
Well, I mean, it didn't look good.
It does not look good. It could look a lot better. But when they pull it away, it's just that evil clown doll.
That fucking clown.
Everyone laughs it off because I guess they find the clown very funny. I would not be laughing right now.
No.
Because we still don't know where Carol Ann is.
Where the fuck is she?
Yeah. Dana says that she'll check the kitchen, but Steve's like, no, I'll check the kitchen. You check your room, which again, it's payoff for what he said earlier. I
Only
thought that was
Dad goes in the kitchen.
very good writing. But Robbie stands there frozen, staring at the closet. The family checks the entire house, but comes up empty. Diane searches the master bedroom, and the TV is on and full of static behind her. When she comes up short, she realizes that her worst nightmare might have come true and tells Steve that they need to check the pool. They run outside, and Steve fucking dives into the water. Like, I guess he practiced the night before.
That end of the pool already looks deep, and he like dove in there.
He did, and it shouldn't be that deep because it looks low, but he's able to submerge his entire body in it. And it's only been raining. I don't know what's going on. I got to be honest with you. Anyway, while he's searching the pool, upstairs, Robbie walks into the master bedroom and can hear Carol Ann's voice distorted and calling out for her mother.
Terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Very much. Totally zonked, though, Robbie starts to scream for his mom, too. Diane rushes in to check on him, and as soon as she hears Carol Ann's voice, relief washes over her. As Robbie starts to freak out, Diane sits in front of him, trying to calm him down with the static of the television, kind of creating these really cool silhouettes.
Yeah.
This is when Diane realizes that Carol Ann's voice is coming from the television. Carol Ann says, I can't see you, Mommy. Where are you? And Diane puts her hand to the screen.
Yeah, it's like, what did I smoke?
Never again.
I did read that the kidnapping subplot was not in the original treatment.
Huh.
The original treatment, I believe, called for Carol Ann to be possessed.
Oh, shit.
And then when the two writers were brought on,
yeah,
pretty much. Those two writers that were brought on later and Steven Spielberg added in this kidnapping plot that I think works better.
Yeah, definitely more original.
Kind of.
Well,
we'll talk.
Okay.
But the next morning, Steve meets with Ed and Lorraine Warren. Now, I'm just kidding. He actually meets with a few parapsychologists at the university. They are Dr. Martha Lesh, played by Beatrice Straight, Dr. Ryan Mitchell, played by Richard Lawson, and Dr. Marty Casey, played by Martin Casella. In their office, they interview Steve, asking him about the members of his family who have experienced the phenomena. He tells them about it, including their ages as well.
This was a sobering everything's pizza moment for me because I am the same age as the mother in this film. And I wasn't ready for that.
You're like, I'm Dana, right, guys?
What do you mean I'm not 16?
Yeah. Dude, you ever watch a movie as Robbie and turn out to be Steve? Like, seriously, it's very weird. Especially, like, when I watched Halloween, I'm like, I'm 30.
Yeah.
They're like 17. I'm probably closer to fucking Loomis's age. You know, I know it's not true, but I felt it.
No, he was like, said that his wife was 32, and I'm like,
oh shit.
You meant like 42,
42,
right?
yeah. It has to be. Well,
we're the same age.
It's like when I play Final Fantasy VIII and it says they're all 17.
No, they're not.
They are in my head canon. They are 27 years old because this is a college now.
In a couple years, they'll be 37 years old.
Yes, precisely.
No, but that was just interesting to me because I've watched horror films for so long. Like I was Carol Ann, and now I'm it's interesting. But I read that there was a thing where people were like, what? Because Dana is 16 and Diane is 32. And I guess the like canon of this film, they made it where Dana is Steve's daughter and Diane is her stepmom. But I'm like, she could have had her at 16.
Yeah.
Like, why are y'all being weird about it?
See,
it happened.
I think because I think it was in, I want to say the novelization.
Yeah.
Where they kind of
why? Who
give
cares?
more detail. But honestly, people have kids at 16.
Yeah. You had a kid when you were a kid. You were a teenage parent.
Right.
It's just like, I don't know. I thought it was just weird.
Again, I don't know if it's that 80s thing where they're like, we need to explain
People
this.
are clutching their pearls.
Yeah.
It's not like the daughter's 16 and she's 20. Like,
no. Now that's trouble.
Yeah, it was just they. Why are you making such a big deal out of it? I thought that was weird.
Honestly, get over it.
Yeah.
People in the 80s watching it.
Get over yourself.
Get into a time machine and fucking show you what's what. But Steve says that there has been no publicity about the events, and Dr. Lesh asks him not to start any. So it's not the Warrens. But he says that is the last thing they want. She then asks if his family would allow them to investigate, but she asks kind of dickishly.
Yeah.
Like, well, come on down, Lynn
Yeah.
Shay.
Yeah,
Hell
shit.
Yeah.
The camera then dips down to reveal Steve looking haggard, and he tells her that they don't really care about the ghostly goings-on. They just want them to find Carol Ann.
It was interesting to me that they didn't involve anyone. But I mean, what is calling the police going to do?
And then if they just look crazy,
then now your other kids are probably going to get taken out of the house. So it's I don't know. Do you call but you know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, what can the police do?
Nothing, but your kid's just missing. It feels like instinctually
you want to
gotta
file
call
a report.
somebody. Yeah.
But at the same time, they're like, no, we know where she is.
She's in the TV.
Turn to channel fucking 3. Wait till midnight or whatever. You know, I mean. But in the next scene, Steve returns to the house with the parapsychologist. He tells him that they keep the kids' room locked now and Robbie sleeps with them after the events that occurred. He also says that Dana spends a lot of time at a friend's house, which, what?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Why do you have her here at all?
I don't know.
Because she's not in any of this part.
Yeah.
Well, she shows up in like 5 minutes, though. She doesn't do much, but she's there.
She doesn't.
But Dr. Lesh asks how many occurrences they've recorded in the room, and he tells her that they just don't go in there anymore, flat out. They head upstairs, and Dr. Mitchell boasts about another investigation they did, where he caught a child's toy moving 7 feet across the floor over the course of 7 hours.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, that's fantastic. But Steve grabs the key to the door from his sweater and looks at Dr. Mitchell like, well, then check this shit out.
Yeah.
About to blow your tits off,
They
dude.
like accepted it, and they're like, just look.
Yeah.
But he opens the door, and the investigators watch as various objects swirl around the room. A lamp breaks apart, puts itself back together. An Incredible Hulk toy rides a horse toy. It's a real scene. But the bed spins with the clown on top of it, and we hear disembodied laughter. Books flap at them, and a compass holding a pencil lands on a floating record, causing music to play. We then cut to Dr. Les shakily drinking a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Do you remember Dr. Sleep? Something similar happens there.
Very much. Again, these small influences.
Yeah.
You're sure they have to be references.
For sure.
But again, the editing with that shot.
It's funny.
It was done by Michael Kahn, who did like all of Spielberg's stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think he did a really good job here.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to say that a lot of this stuff still looks pretty good, the practical stuff.
Yeah.
But when things flew at Dr. Lesh, it did feel a little... It was a little dated.
You don't feel like it's happening.
No.
But it
a lot of the
looks
stuff...
good.
Yeah.
Exactly. For, what they were able to do, you're like, this is impressive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for as old as it is, it definitely holds up.
Yeah. But together with the Freeling family at the table, Diane tells the parapsychologist that nobody has been sleeping well and Steve has missed a ton of work. Dana is at the table as well, but she doesn't really say much of anything.
Nope.
Yeah.
But Dr. Lesh tells her that this might actually be a poltergeist instead of your garden variety haunting. As this conversation is going on, the kettle moves across the table on its own and the lights flicker. Diane says the flickers travel in pairs, which we learned they totally do.
Yeah.
I love that the Freelings are just like, oh yeah, it does
Yeah,
that.
it's just part of it.
That's what I'm saying. They just accepted it.
Yeah.
It's
It just is what it is.
It's just so funny to me that that's what these people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is investigate this shit, and they've
Yeah.
never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
But Dr. Casey tries and fails to capture it on camera. The doctors explain the difference between poltergeists and hauntings. Hauntings are attached to locations and can go on indefinitely, while poltergeists are typically attached to a person and only go on for a short period of time. Diane realizes the problem here. This could end at any time, which means they don't have much time to find Carol Ann.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a ticking clock now, which
Yeah.
always adds drama. Like,
Of course.
What's that show with Gordon Ramsay where he has to fix a restaurant in 24 hours?
Oh, it's like you put that on yourself, dude. Nobody said you had to do this in 24 hours. He's like, I've got to get to work. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
you
No,
you
did
don't.
that. Yeah.
It's your show. What the
Dude,
fuck?
you named it. You can take a break.
Throw 12 more hours on
Yeah.
this bitch.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to tell you anything.
We'll just edit it together.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
That's a very interesting point about hauntings versus poltergeist
Right.
activity that I want to revisit later because
Fair.
I have something of an issue.
All right.
Yeah, that's fair. I know.
Yeah.
I agree. But in the next scene, the doctors are setting up their equipment in the living room, and Diane switches the TV to static, explaining that they actually hear better on this channel, even if it doesn't make a lot of sense. With everyone gathered together, Diane attempts to call out to Carol Ann. She says they want to talk to her and begs her to answer. Everyone watches as E-Buzz fucking strikes a pose in the dining room,
Yeah.
and then he starts barking at the ceiling. I'm like, this dog is just...
It's his time to shine.
I
man.
guess so. He's trying to get the next film. So you guys need me for Poltergeist too, right? But Diane asks if Carol Ann can say hello to Steven. Through the electronics, we hear Carol Ann's voice say, "Hello, Daddy." The Freelings respond positively, and Dana is overwhelmed to the point of tears. Carol Ann asks where they are, and Diane says that they're home and asks her to find her way home, but she says that she can't and that she's afraid of the light. The tone shifts, and Dr. Lesh tells Diane to keep Carol Ann away from the light. She says it's a way out, but not for her. Dr. Casey sidles up and is like, the voice could be coming from a transmitter in the house.
Yeah.
And
We can talk about this later.
Yeah,
Like,
like-
you don't need to be.
we're experiencing it right now.
Yeah.
Do you remember the balloon boy?
Yeah. We did this for a show. Yeah, of course I remember that shit. And then,
I think he got grounded.
oh, hell yeah. I'm afraid he might have gotten worse. The next time they were on TV, they asked him about it, and he just threw up. Like, that kid was going through some shit. His parents, allegedly,
Our trash.
are trash. But Lesh is like, this isn't a hoax. It ain't Amityville, bro. She didn't say that, but she
no.
should. But Dr. Casey heads upstairs. Of course, after he does so, a light flashes overhead, complete with smoke, as a bunch of old jewelry falls from the ceiling. They're all very confused by this, but Carol Ann calls out saying that someone is there with her, and she asks if it's her mom. She calls out for help, and Diane begs Dr. Lesh to help her. We then hear thumping noises, and Carol Ann's cries grow fainter until they're gone. Diane inches her way up the staircase, but then a breeze blows through her and she gasps. When she collects herself, almost in disbelief, she says it was Carol Ann and that she just moved through her. In tears, she says she can even smell her, getting Steve to confirm it's true after he smells her scarf. Dana's hands are clasped seemingly in prayer. Mm-hmm. And after Dr. Lesh smells the scarf, Diane says, "She went through my soul."
Dr. Lesh is like, I don't know what she smells like.
Yeah,
But
it just smells like a scarf to me.
but with everything you see, how can you even think there was a hoax, or how can you?
Right.
Yeah.
With
I mean, I understand that you have to go into it with, some skepticism.
Of course.
Right.
But I feel like
The flying room, though. I mean,
Yeah.
That's
Dude,
true.
no shit.
Yeah.
They
had
did
already
see
seen
that.
Yeah.
And then whenever the kettle moved across the table, they looked under the table and didn't see shit.
Yeah. Fuck off, dude.
But just then, we hear heavy footsteps on the staircase, and with a growl, a strong wind blows through the living room, along with flashes of light, forceful enough to knock everyone to the floor.
I bet those ghost hunters want to leave now.
You still,
Yeah.
He's still not
transmitter?
sure?
Yeah.
See, what sucks is Dr. Casey's still upstairs, so he's like, I don't know. I didn't see that. So this was brought up whenever I was on Not Your Final Girl, but I did want to bring it up here because I rewatched it for this recording.
Mm-hmm.
But the voice of Carol Ann the disappearance, very reminiscent of Little Girl Lost, the Twilight Zone episode written by Richard Matheson. So he got no credit for this film at all, of course. But there were rumors that I read Spielberg approached him years prior to adapt Little Girl Lost into a film.
Right.
Oh.
So take that, what you will.
Not a good look, Steve.
No, not at all. That's one of the skeletons. But whenever Candace and Ariel were talking about it, all I thought about was the episode of The Simpsons, Homer 3D, whenever he's in the wall.
Yeah. Where's that
Where's the money
credit?
for that shit? But that was based on Little Girl Lost, and it feels like Poltergeist, doesn't it?
Right.
So if that's not fresh and The Simpsons
shit.
is, you do remember.
Yeah.
But according to Ain't It Cool News, which I hate to use as a source, but it was the only source that was there.
Yeah, because I learned live.
Yeah, that dude's
He's
a piece of shit.
Scumbag piece of shit.
But in an interview with Richard Matheson, he said that he had a weird relationship with Spielberg after this, thinking that Spielberg was always trying to make up for stealing his idea for Poltergeist.
Huh.
Which, I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, just putting all that out there, you make...
man.
Why are you being so nice to me?
Yeah. I guess because he had asked Richard Matheson to help him out with something, and so he did. It was like a creative work, and he paid him a lot for it. And so he felt like, this isn't something I would normally be paid for at all.
That's guilt.
Why am I being paid for it now? But again, speculation, rumors.
Right.
Allegedly.
You do what you will with it. Don't sue me, Steven. Mr. Spielberg, I'm sorry. We are not that familiar. But we pull back from the static of the TV as Dana lifts her head from the ground and Diane rushes to the television, trying to reestablish the connection with Carol Ann. I did think it was funny watching all of them fall. I meant to say that earlier. It's the way it cuts so abruptly. You're just like, oh shit. What'd I even see? But as everyone gets back to their feet, Dr. Lesh learns that Carol Ann was in her bedroom closet when she vanished, and they decide to head up there. Before they can, Dr. Casey heads back downstairs, saying that he was going to investigate the kids' room, but then something took a bite out of him.
Damn sandwich took a bite out of me.
Back to The Simpsons, always. But he raises his shirt to reveal a long bite mark on the lower part of his oddly sweaty abdomen.
I'd be sweating too,
I
man.
guess so.
Give him a fucking break.
Someone chomped me.
This is... I know a little girl was snatched, but this is fucking escalation.
Yeah.
This is different.
You're biting me? We're doing that?
And that's not like a tiny mouth.
No.
It's like an alligator fucking bit him.
You got fucking sharks in there?
Goddamn.
The goldfish?
It's what she fed them too much.
This is all Carol Ann's fault.
But the parapsychologists very wisely decide to stay downstairs for the rest of the night. Dana, though, has seen enough and begs them to let her stay at a friend's house. First of all, how dare you?
Yeah.
She's like, I'm out this bitch.
You can stay. Like, your whole family is here.
Yeah.
It's got too spicy for the pepper.
It feels like, I don't know. I don't like that.
I mean, I'd probably get my remaining children out.
Right.
I don't think that... I mean, I'd be staying there, but...
I'd send them together. I'm not going to let you go to your friend's house and then send Jackson to my mom's or your parents. Or
I would stay, but
you guys are together.
But I'd probably let them leave. But it'll probably make them leave, not let them.
Yeah.
But,
it's something that comes up later, but I found it odd that they would allow Dana to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I feel like if I was her friend or whatever, I'd be like, don't be bringing that shit into my house.
Hell no.
some friend.
You got some weird shit happening over there.
You stay over there.
We'll give this a little bit of time, quarantine, and then, we'll talk about it in
2 weeks.
5 to 7 business days.
She a package? But that night, after some atmospheric shots of the neighborhood, we head inside for a lot of whispering.
Yeah, no. I was like, is this ASMR?
It switched. I don't know what happened. It's like, why do I feel goosebumps or whatever?
Or whatever.
But Dr. Casey wants to possibly debunk everything, but he's too scared to do an investigation upstairs. Dr. Lesh wants to know where the voice is coming from, and Dr. Mitchell explains that the static on the television is free to receive signals from anywhere, up to and including outer space and inner space.
Oh.
Yeah, you hadn't counted on that shit. But he posits that the Freelings might have an area of bilocation in their very living room, and that if that hole in the ceiling is the way out, maybe somewhere else in the house is the way in. Logical. Later on, with the family resting in the living room, Dr. Lesh goes to turn off the static TV, but Diane asks her to leave it on. She admits that all of this must appear strange to her, but Dr. Lesh says that that's nonsense. She explains that her field is actually psychology, and parapsychology is more of a hobby with no professional recognition or certification.
She's like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
I am flying by the seat of my pants, girl. But then she makes with the booze, offering some to Diane. They chuckle a bit about how shaken up Dr. Lesh was earlier, and she admits that she is terrified. She says there is so much that they do not understand. Robbie then asks if he got killed, could they tie a rope around him and have him find Carol Ann and bring her back? Then they could all go live somewhere else. I was like, tie a rope around your corpse.
Robbie, think.
Yeah.
Why don't you ever think?
You're off plans, Robbie. You don't fucking know anything. But it is a very sad moment.
Can we switch kids?
Yeah.
But Dr. Lesh is like, Whoa, I don't
shit.
fucking know.
It's like, I have no certification. But Dr. Lesh moves to sit closer to him and says that some people believe that when you die, your soul goes to heaven. Other people believe that when you die, you see a light that possesses all the answers to every question you've ever had, and when you walk into it, you become a part of it forever. But there are people who die who don't realize they're gone because they can't accept the fact that they've died. They just hang around, feeling jealous of the lives of those around them. Then there's another group. Those who got lost on their way to the light and need to be guided into it. She relates the angry spirits to the kids at school, how some are nice and some are mean. And Robbie's like, I got beat up by 3 kids once. Maybe they got hit by a truck and they're fucking upstairs right now.
Like, holy shit.
Diane's like, get some sleep, kid. You're off plans. You're off everything. Just go to bed. But Diane then says that his grandma is excited that he'll be going tomorrow to stay with her. He'll also be taking E-Buzz, so that's cool.
Of course, yeah.
But Robbie says goodnight to everyone, including Carol Ann, and we get one last shot of the static. This was a very sincere scene.
Yeah, I feel like all of this was a really nice moment. I also laughed when Robbie was like, good night, lady. He's like,
that's what I was going to say. He's like, all right, good night, bitch. Family.
It's like, I don't know your name. It was,
good night, fraud. Yeah. He's like, why is she here?
Good night, Lorraine Warren. No, but I don't know why there was something very sincere about this scene that hit me right in the heart.
Yeah.
Just her trying to, I guess, chop it down to size enough for him to understand.
Right.
I liked that, and I liked this relationship between her and Diane.
Fantastic.
I really appreciated that.
There is almost like a maternal energy.
Yes, yeah.
And it really makes me happy. But later that night, when everyone is asleep, Dr. Casey switches posts with Dr. Mitchell and goes to the kitchen to find something to eat. He eats an errant Ritz cracker before opening the fridge and shoving a whole chicken leg in his mouth. Then pulling a steak from the shelf.
Yeah. No, I have that down. What the fuck?
We know how he felt in Jennifer's body about the rotisserie chicken.
Yes, there were plans for that chicken.
I was like, John Paul's going to be pissed.
Well, why would you do that? That's not your fridge.
It's not your fridge.
It's not.
Nobody buys a steak by mistake. Nobody's like, oh, I guess we have a steak.
He
No.
sniffed it, right?
Died by mistake. You fucker. But yeah.
Right, he sniffs it,
Yeah.
right?
And then throws it on the counter.
Yeah. That's fucked up.
It is. There were plans for that steak.
Yeah.
I did like that vintage Cheetos bag that we saw, though.
Very neat.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
They should bring it back. But he sets the steak on the counter and retrieves a frying pan. But when he turns around, he watches the steak go all snake-like and slink slowly across the counter. That was a tongue twister.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of shit y'all be eating in this house?
Like, oh, yeah, that's just what our steaks do.
That's the slithering steak.
That's how you know you got the right cut. I read that they had accomplished this by having people under the counter,
right,
controlling it piece by piece to
Cool.
give it this.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and it looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Again, the practical effects are like fantastic.
Yep.
But when he turns on his flashlight, we see the steak rot from the inside, pushing out all kinds of nasty, meaty badness.
Disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
It grosses me out every time I see it.
No, it's nasty.
It's real bad. But the chicken leg falls from his mouth to the floor, and when he looks at it, he sees that it's covered in maggots.
Ugh.
Basically just going from bad to worse.
Right.
But freaking out, he heads to a nearby sink to wash his face and mouth out. A light burns hot overhead, and in a mirror, he notices a slice on his cheek. He begins to tear at it, ripping the flesh from his face until the sink is filled with just disgusting gobs of flesh and meat, and his face is nothing but a bloody skeletal mess.
I feel you, man. I get it.
Same.
Yeah.
This was unexpected and disgusting, and I loved every bit of it.
Absolutely.
This is my favorite effect in the whole film.
I would agree with that, and I would also say that it feels a lot more in line with Tobe Hooper.
For sure. Yeah, because this feels very out of place for the rest of the movie.
This is PG?
I
was
loved
different.
it.
Yes.
We were talking about this on the Patreon, and this is what everybody was referencing.
Yes.
Because,
And the thing is that even with the music that's going on, with the horrible shit that's going on in the kitchen and everything, it doesn't feel too frightening.
Right.
And so when you see this shit happen, it's horrifying. But when you see this shit happen, you're like, this is not, I don't think I could have been prepared for this.
No.
From what I've seen so far.
And it comes out of nowhere, and then we never take it to this level again.
No, that's it.
Just for right now.
They're like, all right, we overstepped our bounds. I did want to point out, according to Fangoria, the guy who conceived this makeup effect was named Mike McCracken, and in a very strange mistake, he wasn't credited at all for this film.
Because of a mistake?
It was an oversight, apparently.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, you forgot the guy who made...
Yeah, who made the fucking best effect in the film.
What the fuck?
Thought it was very strange. But according to Mental Floss, these are Spielberg's hands that are ripping apart the face. He said that he was afraid that Martin Casella would mess it up and ruin it.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, it's like, I'm an actor, right? Yeah, so he did it himself.
It's like when your kids try to do something, you're like, just move, let me do it. Oh my God.
Yeah, I was like, geez, man. But
that's fucking mean.
I thought that was pretty messed up. But just then, a light flashes and his face is completely back to normal. I was like, Poltergeist is like, that's for eating their fucking food. But we then get a transition shot of all of their random machinery at work before checking in on Dr. Mitchell, who is working on a bomb-ass sketch. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But next to him, though, a camera turns on its own towards the staircase, tilting upwards to catch the top of the staircase. Mitchell is distracted by the most 80s song of all time.
Yeah, this dude's just jamming.
But like, man, you're not listening or watching.
No.
I feel like you should be paying some kind of attention.
The screen's just to his right.
Yes.
You can see it
it's
moving.
right there.
And then he's got the headphones on. You're like, you just don't care. You just do not care. But the screen behind him is capturing what is happening. We glide past those screens and watch as a door opens at the top of the stairs, a blinding light spilling out of it. Dr. Casey backs out of the kitchen, his mind still fucking warped, and into the living room to get Dr. Mitchell's attention. They watch in awe as the light slowly manifests a figure that appears angelic.
I was like, is that Madeline Ashton from Death Becomes Her?
Yes. Dr. Lesh and the Freelings wake up to see it as well. The figure floats downstairs to the center of the room, bringing with it a mighty wind. But in a flash, as quickly as it appeared, it departs, almost in like a spiral through the ceiling, just gone. This is actually a combination of animation and practical effects.
Wow.
They actually had a woman that was dressed that they had on a kind of a pulley system kind of a thing.
Was it Meryl Streep?
Sure. Just for this scene. But they kind of glided her down the stairs.
Right.
Apparently they did it a lot and she was kind of getting annoyed with it.
Oh.
But they...
Spielberg's like, let me do it.
Yeah. It's like, fit me for that
Let
dress.
me in the dress.
But they got her downstairs, and then obviously the disappearing had to be accomplished with animation.
Yeah.
They couldn't really swirl her around like that. It would have...
Well,
it was... They're like, it's not the 70s anymore.
We can't kill them for this.
Not anymore. But Dr. Lesh goes to the equipment and is like, roll that beautiful bean footage. So they watch that tape back, and we see a bright light descend the staircase, eventually breaking apart into several lights. And as they approach the camera, they appear to be people.
Yeah.
And they have like halos.
Yeah.
This is another instance where in another movie they'd watch the footage back and it wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
But it's
Yes.
like, nah, bitch,
we've seen
we don't
it.
care who sees. This is what we're doing.
And I expected there to be nothing on the tape.
yeah.
Because they made such a big deal about the camera capturing it. They're like,
Yeah.
no, we're just fucking
they
with you,
did.
dude. But Robbie's like, is that our house? I'm like, go to bed, kid. Like, you are no help. Where's that fucking tree when you need it? But
He's like, all these damn houses look the same.
Yeah.
that's true. It's like, this is the house you were showing this afternoon? Or? But Dr. Les says that they're so lonely. And when Robbie asks where they're coming from, Diane says that she doesn't know. The next morning, Robbie and E-Buzz get into a taxi for their grandmother's house.
That dog was buzzing to get the fuck out of there,
was.
man.
Hell yeah.
I
He's like,
will
wait for me.
I will say, though, it made me laugh because before he gets into the car, he turns around to Steve and Diane like, find her, okay?
Good luck, you guys.
Yeah,
The dog is the best part of
he
this.
is. But Diane tearfully asks Robbie to call her before we watch the taxi drive away. In the kitchen, Dr. Lesh goes through the items that fell through the ceiling, remarking that one of the watches is over 100 years old, but one of the other watches is only a few years old.
So this is stuff that they're dropping,
Right.
the spirits.
Mm-hmm. Which, again,
Yeah.
sign me up for no. 'cause
Yeah, no,
That's
a lot.
frightening. But she says that she plans to take everything back to the lab and says that she's going to display them. It's like, I thought you said no publicity.
Yeah.
Wow. Lorraine.
Yeah. No
Wow.
shit. She's like, my husband called and
He said,
he said,
tell
get that.
everyone.
He said, get that paper. We're going to write a book too. But the doorbell rings and Steve goes to answer it with Diane taking his seat at the table. She gives Dr. Lesh her empty bottle of booze back and takes a sip from her coffee. Lesh says that Dr. Mitchell will be staying here and that Dr. Casey will not be returning.
I love
Yeah.
I love it so much because this dude does not fucking
Yeah.
No, at all.
At least she's being honest, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Look.
got too spicy
Yeah.
for the
Yeah,
pepper.
he saw a little too much
Yeah.
last night.
I mean, but that's real shit.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I watch myself rip and
No.
peel my face. This
Yeah.
is beyond me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't wanna
I'm
come
not
back.
helping. I'm not.
You're like, what's
Yeah.
next? I don't want to
That
find
was
out.
a fucking
No.
warning.
Yes.
I'm gone.
Mm-hmm. But she holds Diane's hands and promises that she will be coming back.
Yeah.
Diane hugs her tightly, and Dr. Les says that she'll bring help and not to worry. Diane thanks her, and again, very sincere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love these two.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
love it.
It's a great little relationship.
It's weird how, like you said earlier, it's, I guess, the chemistry that they have.
Yeah.
Because everybody feels genuine.
Yeah.
They do.
And I'll bring it up again. Damn E.T. You know what I mean? You're like, oh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, wait,
you didn't
but
even want to say it.
is this
No.
a horror
Bring it up
movie?
Yeah,
again.
you're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I do want to point out, I think that it could have been a little more impactful if whenever she was telling the story about her sleepwalking or whatever,
Yeah.
she let us into an insight on her relationship with her
mom.
mother.
Yeah.
All right.
Because then it's like, okay, maybe she never had that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is like her compensating for something she always
Right.
wanted. Because it does feel very maternal.
Yeah.
It does.
But in the living room, we see that it was Mr. Teague at the door, Steve's boss, played by James Karen. He's there to check on Steve, and he bluntly says that Steve looks like shit.
Steve does not look
Yeah.
well.
No, he does. we're bringing that back.
He looks bad.
He looks like he has two black eyes.
Yeah. Well,
But I imagine you probably aren't
Well,
getting
yeah.
much sleep here. But he asks if Steve's feeling any better. Steve just chalks it up to the flu, and when Teague notices the television's filled with static, like to the other side of the room, he's like, it looks like you've got a cable problem.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But behind him, a large piano begins to move on its own across the floor.
Yeah.
So Steve just fucking rushes him out.
That piano's like, get him the fuck out of here.
He's like, we'll do what we did to Dr. Casey. But outside, the porch light begins to burn bright, which Teague attributes to electrical problems as they walk off the property.
That's so funny because he's just like carrying him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
like
like,
escorting up and this
come
way.
on,
and
dude. Yeah.
And the house is just fucking up his
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah. But he's just making excuses for everything.
Yeah, it's great. But Teague is concerned about losing Steve to the flu or, quote, other opportunities. Seeing all the screens in the living room, he's concerned that Steve's like creating the internet or something.
Yeah.
I was trying to follow
what
the
could you be doing?
insinuation.
Yeah.
But he invites Steve out for a ride because he wants to show him something.
He just said he had the flu. You're not getting in my car.
No.
Yeah.
This was before masks and stuff, dude.
Yeah.
He's just free-mouthing it.
Breathing all in each other's faces.
It's gross. Never again.
No thanks.
But back inside the house, Diane, after a moment of hesitation, walks over to the door of the kids' room and knocks on it, trying to make contact with Carol Ann. She opens the door, but after a burst of wind and the sound of screams, she closes it, fully in tears, apologizing.
So the room screamed at her for opening the door.
Whatever's in there, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right, I'm naked. It's like, oh,
I'm
shit.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Jesus
It
Christ.
doesn't like to be disturbed. When that dude went upstairs, he got bit.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's like, stay your this floor is mine.
But,
Yeah.
but that room's not paying rent.
Well,
I mean,
no.
The room is
I
not-
mean,
You can't be screaming at motherfuckers.
No. You're not putting in
Yeah.
on this shit.
I was going to say, you didn't put in on this.
No.
But Steve and Teague outside make their way up one of the hills around Cuesta Verde, and we learn that Carol Ann was actually born in the Freeling home. This is actually very important later, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But Teague asks if she's sick with the flu as well, then remarks that he didn't see her at the house.
Why are you so concerned with my child?
Yeah.
Great question, but he also didn't see Robbie or Dana.
No.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck those.
So, yeah, I don't. Who gives a shit about those
he
kids?
didn't see his wife either.
That's true. He only saw Steve.
Yeah.
That's just weird. But he then asks if Steve is thinking of leaving Cuesta Verde as they reach the top of the hill. He then plants a shovel into the ground outside of a white fence, saying that that's where a bay window could go, observing an incredible view. He offers Steve the house that will be built here in the future as part of Phase 5 as a reward for being their best salesman. We then see what's behind the white fence, though. A massive graveyard that stretches back as far as the eye can see.
Like, dude, are you fucking for real, man?
No shit. But Teague says that they own all the land and have made arrangements to relocate the cemetery, and Steve says that it's sacrilegious.
Beyond that, it's fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
And did he say that Steve was responsible for 42% of the sales
Yeah,
there?
it's like, what the fuck is everybody else doing?
Like, what a fucking beast.
I thought that too. I was like,
Yeah.
damn, that's a big number.
and you're
That's
just
crazy.
now
Yeah.
deciding to, you should be like, I don't know.
See, no, this is real shit, though.
Yeah.
This is indicative of real
now
work.
that he thinks he
Yeah.
wants to
Exactly.
leave, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me
Because-
value you
Yeah,
now.
it's like, I've just been taking advantage of you this whole time.
Yeah.
But now that I realize
That's
that you
some
could leave
bullshit,
for
man.
better opportunities.
We're in a fucking phase 1
Yeah.
house. That's some shit.
It is. Capitalism is poison.
It is.
So,
You heard it here first.
you heard it here first. Teague, though, to Steve's comment that it's sacrilegious, says it's not ancient tribal burial ground, it's just people. Now, I've always had a Mandela effect about this moment. It was whenever we covered Pet Cemetery that
Yes.
great friend of the show, Kent, reached out and
Yep.
said, in Poltergeist, it actually wasn't a tribal burial ground.
I'm going to blame The Simpsons.
I think so. You know what it is? It's because of that Amityville Poltergeist mashup that they did
Yeah, for
on the
Treehouse
first.
of Horror.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because now I'm like, no, it was.
Yeah.
But it was not.
But Homer said it
Yeah.
was, so I think you're mistaken.
I guess so.
Mr. Teague.
in the actual film. But this is when Teague drops the bomb. They've done it before. In 1976, all 300 acres of Cuesta Verde was built on top of a former graveyard.
Are you pulling my dick, bro? I would
That's Steve.
I probably beat his ass.
Well,
Right there on
you
the hill.
know I live there.
I'm living
Yeah,
on it.
you know I live there.
Yeah. I'd probably get fired.
He puts his hand on Steve's shoulder, which Steve brushes off, saying
Yeah.
he never knew that.
Yeah.
Bitch, don't touch me.
Teague's like, dude, that's not something we would advertise.
Yeah.
It's like built on top of, like.
But again, though, if I'm your best dude, why are you allowing me to live here and not
Yeah,
saying anything?
That's bullshit.
Well, he says that the graves were relocated 5 minutes away. Steve's like, I guess that's okay. And Teague remarks that nobody has complained about it until now. But nobody knew about it.
Yeah.
You got to know about
To complain. It's like, if you poison my food, I'm not going to complain because I didn't see you do it. I'm just going to lap it up greedily.
Yeah, and then die.
It was soup. I don't know why
Greedily?
it was soup. I don't know what I'm talking about. But to me, this is more...
Why are you so hungry?
I don't know, dude. Got pizza, got waffles, got imaginary soup that never even came up in the film.
Imaginary poisoned
Poison
soup.
soup, even better. But the thing is that to me, this is even more in line with, I think, the comment that they're trying to make about America. not only was America built on a graveyard,
It was, but I mean, they should have made it a Native American graveyard because that'd be more accurate.
More appropriate. But I think that they're also trying to show that Steve and his family have basically achieved the American dream.
Yeah.
They're living in an amazing house. They've got the 3 kids. They got a dog. Probably have a white picket fence.
Yeah.
But it didn't fucking save them from this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're still experiencing probably the worst thing ever. I just think that all this America stuff that's happening can't be accidental.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. It's just now hitting me that this is going to come out on quote unquote Columbus Day. And I just want to take a moment to say fuck Columbus.
Fuck Columbus.
I
fuck
got
'em.
pissed off because my kids came home from school with a little thing that was like, no school on Monday, Columbus Day. And Jackson had crossed out the word Columbus. I was like,
Good on
the
you.
hell yeah, dude. Because it's Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yeah.
Fuck Columbus. We can move on, but I just wanted to.
This episode comes out on Indigenous Peoples Day.
It comes out on Indigenous Peoples Day.
Moving on.
Moving on.
But that evening, Dr. Mitchell films the Freelings as they tour the house with Tangina Barons, a psychic played by Zelda Rubinstein. They tell her about all the phenomena that they've experienced, and she asks them to hang back because they're jamming her frequencies.
It's the lady from Leslie Vernon.
Yes.
I looked it up. She was 4'3".
Wow, man.
Yeah. I always get paranoid because Danny DeVito looks so tiny, and so I looked him up, and we are the same height, and that was pretty sobering. She's shorter than me, so I was thrilled.
Everybody does tower over her.
Right.
Yeah.
But I realized that JoBeth Williams is pretty tall.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like she has to be tall.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I think I just wanted to bring her up again because I did kind of fall in love with her in this movie, but it doesn't matter. Tangino then walks alone around the staircase and into the living room. She suddenly gasps and puts her hands to her chest before hurrying up the stairs. Steve very randomly cuts a skeptic jab at, like...
Yeah, this was another part where I was kind of confused because like you've seen everything that's gone on.
Exactly.
You've experienced it. You know your little girl somewhere in a fucking TV world, but you're unsure about this lady. I was
like,
I
okay,
don't...
Mika.
Yeah.
Like, all this shit that you have no room for skepticism.
Yeah, you've not seen enough?
Right.
If she came in and was like, oh, actually, we're on Mars, I'd be like, okay, now what? How do I get Caroline back?
You got it, boss.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
You got it, boss. Anything that comes out of your mouth, I'm lapping it up like that poison soup. I don't give a fuck.
But he does. He says it to Dr. Lesh, and she reassures him that Tangina has cleaned many houses and her gifts are well documented. Tangina asks why the children's room is locked, and Steve tries to answer her with his mind.
Fuck off, man.
Like, what happened?
We're too far into the film for this.
Yes.
None of this worked for me at all.
If this was the first, like if say Diane goes to the parapsychologist
Right.
and
Maybe.
Steve thinks it's bullshit,
Yeah.
even then, your daughter is still missing in a very weird way.
Yeah.
I would keep, and I know that she said the thing about keep an open mind, but this is beyond an open mind.
Yeah.
Like, you all saw the fucking spirit come down the stairs.
You've been given proof. Your mind doesn't need to be open. You've seen it.
I'm just so confused.
This doesn't work for me, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But Steve tells her that used to be Carol Ann and Robbie's room. Dr. Lesh says that she believes it's the heart of the house, and Tangina says that the house has many hearts. Don't like that either.
Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
But Steve quietly explains that Tangina couldn't hear his thoughts, and he thought she was supposed to be a clairvoyant. Tangina then answers him and basically says that she is, but she doesn't go in for that bullshit.
And
Yeah. And he's like, oh. I'm like, oh, fuck. I fucked up.
I hope you feel like a jackass.
Yeah, I just don't know where that was coming from.
Yeah, it felt a little out of place.
It did.
But he got schooled.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm sorry. But later on in the living room, Tangina asks for Diane's hand and has her kneel down so she doesn't have to look up so high. This is when I was like, she's tall.
Yeah.
Or she's short or both.
It's both. I loved this because this is how I'm going to deal with tall people going forward.
You're stealing that line?
Come down here.
Have to hurt my neck looking up at you. So that's great
But
work.
I'm going to say it just like
Yeah. Did you write it down in your notes, like for your real notes, not the notes for the show? Like
Yes.
your notes for life?
my life notes.
But she assures Diane that Carol Ann is alive and in this house. She then asks where the last incident of bilocation was, and Dr. Lesh points to the ceiling. Tangina says that she feels like the point of origin is the children's closet and asks Diane to be strong for her and Carol Ann. She asks her if she'll do whatever she asks, even if it contradicts her beliefs as a human being and a Christian, and Diane promises all of the above. I was like, what are you going to ask me to fucking do?
We about to do some freaky shit.
It's like, I've brought a goat and we need to. It's like, oh my God.
Shit.
But Tangina then invites everyone to crowd around. Don't be shy. She explains that there is no death. There's only a transition to a different plane of consciousness. She says Carol Ann isn't like the spirits, so the spirits are attracted to her life force. The light of it reminds the spirits of the greatest aspects of living, which they crave. Their desperation for it is distracting them from the true light that will actually allow them to pass on.
Mm-hmm.
They're lingering in a nightmare that they can't wake from, but Carol Ann can actually help them cross over. She then says Carol Ann will only hear her mother's voice, but then she tells them to buckle up for the bad news. I don't understand the mother's voice thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It, again, fits into this theme of, like, maternal...
Right.
There's one thing that comes later that is very blatant that isn't even, like, a veiled metaphor.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about it when it gets there. But Tangina says that there is a terrible presence with Carol Ann, full of rage and betrayal. She says she's never sensed anything like it, but it was strong enough to punch a hole into this world and kidnap Carol Ann. She says it keeps Carol Ann close and is using her to restrain the other spirits, but Carol Ann thinks it's just another child. But to them, it's the beast.
The beast?
Yeah.
We're naming these things?
I don't want any part of this.
No. But then, in a very succinct mission statement, she tells them, let's go get your daughter.
Bet.
Very action movie.
Very fair.
I was
That's
like,
fair.
all right.
It's been revoked.
Yeah.
With a dry, cool wit like that.
I just love her.
Right.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed this.
No, yeah.
The way that she explained it is so sad. And I feel like it's a good device to also explain to us what's happening while she's explaining to them. And you know shit was going to get real when she took off those Jim Jones sunglasses.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shit.
We're lucky she didn't pass out the flavor aid.
Yeah.
Not
Flavor
Kool-Aid.
Aid.
Yes. Kool-Aid again. You're welcome.
Waiting for the sponsor.
Yeah, I know. I'll fucking take a Kool-Aid sponsorship. But in the next scene, we see them getting all of their materials together. Rope, red ribbon, handkerchiefs, tennis balls.
Mm-hmm.
I think we even see Dr. Mitchell writing on the balls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and that does come up later.
Right.
But Steve has also run a bath for reasons yet undisclosed. With everything in order, Tangina instructs Diane to call out to Carol Ann, which she does. After a few dropped calls, Tangina comes with the with the bad news. Carol Ann is under restraint with many arms around her. Tangina says they need to act quickly and asks who Carol Ann is more afraid of. Diane says neither, but then says Steve decides the punishment, and he's like, now see here. Yeah. he gets pissed, but Tangina's like, dude, argue later.
Yeah.
We need to make her answer you now. So Steve, with Tangina egging him on, forcefully calls out to Carol Ann, threatening a spanking. He's like, I'd never spanked the kids.
Yeah.
It's very, very funny to me.
But I love that Carol Ann is trapped in this like unknown spirit realm, but she's still like a spanking. Oh shit!
And she's never had one, but she's like, okay.
I don't want the smoke.
Yeah, no, yes sir. And she does. She answers immediately, and she cries out for help. Tangina says that she's away from the beast now and tells Diane to get Carol Ann to run into the light, and Diane's like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Tangina and Dr. Lesh assure her it's okay and that the spirits will follow Carol Ann. Very reluctantly, Diane tells Carol Ann to run to the light and that she'll find her there. She's like, I hate you for this.
Yeah.
To Tangina, which, yeah.
It's really sad and really scary.
Oh, yeah. Tangina just shrugs that shit off, though, and tells them to clear their minds because the beast knows what scares them. It always has, and it doesn't need their help. I was like, God damn, dude.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to go over to Dana's friend's house.
Right.
But she then instructs them to open the door to the children's room. Steve opens the door, and Tangina walks in. The room is dark, but flashing lights are emanating from the closet as well as a very strong breeze. This entire sequence with the lights is really neat, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about her stepping into that room was beautiful, including the music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing was
When the beat
Great.
dropped.
Yeah. Super chef's kiss from all of us. I read that they used dozens of different kinds of lights.
Right.
You see strobe lights, stage lights. They even put fish tanks in front of some of the lights so it would give it like a different kind of diffusion. But Tangina tells Dr. Mitchell to head downstairs to the other side of the portal and tells Steve to hand her a tennis ball. They do as they're told, and we watch as Tangina throws a tennis ball into the closet. A blast of light shoots out, and we see the ball is expelled through the ceiling right into Dr. Mitchell's waiting hand.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. It's covered in pink slime.
Yeah.
Like meat?
Yeah.
Something?
I guess. I don't know.
Why is it so much work?
I don't know.
It kind of reminded me of the slime from Ghostbusters.
Fair.
But it was a little more...
human.
Yeah.
It was a little meaty.
Yeah.
But Dr. Mitchell confirms that it's his handwriting on the ball. Tangina throws another with the same result. She then calls out for Diane to give her hand, which she does, and she's walked closer to the closet. Steve gets the rope ready as Tangina yells that Carol Ann is at the mouth of the corridor, and Diane needs to tell her to stop and not go into the light. Diane does so, but I'm sure Carol Ann is like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck do you
What do you want me to do? I'm stopping right now. You tell me one thing and I'll fucking do
Yeah.
it.
Make up your mind about the fucking light and then get back to me.
Jesus Christ, Mom. But Steve throws the rope into the closet and Dr. Mitchell retrieves it downstairs and pulls it slowly as he's instructed to. Tangina volunteers to go in for Carol Ann, but Diane says that she won't come to her. Tangina's like, you've never done this before, but Diane's like, you haven't either, and Tangina's like, you're right.
Yeah.
You go.
She did.
I was like, oh shit. I laughed so hard
Oh,
at
yeah,
that.
you right here you go. Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Hilarious.
Let me help you tie it.
I'll be here because you're on that side.
Yeah.
But Steve volunteers to go himself, but Diane says that he's better suited to hold the rope because he's stronger. He ties the rope around Diane, and they kiss and express their love for each other as Tangina tells Dr. Lesh to wait downstairs with Dr. Mitchell and to pull the rope only when she says so. Lesh heads downstairs, and Diane slowly approaches the beaming lights of the closet. She reminds Steve to not let go of the rope. At this point, I'm like, Steve's going to let go.
Yeah. I thought the same shit.
Now, don't. I was like, it's happening. But he says he never will, and she steps inside, fully engulfed in light. Steve asks when they'll know that she's found Carol Ann, but Tangina just backs up, putting her back against the wall. She calls out to all the children and tells them to go into the light, and Steve's like, you dirty dog, you told him. It's like, you said not to do that. Feeling betrayed, he calls out to Diane and pulls the rope. Tangina screams that he shouldn't do that yet, and we see the beast appear as a giant roaring skull in the closet door. Steve pisses his shit and drops the rope.
Wow, Steve. You dropped the rope
Drop
the
the
first
rope.
time a giant beast screams in your face.
Yeah, like that's never happened.
I trusted you.
You promised. But the beast does recede back into the closet.
Should have made him pinky promise.
Should have. That's legally binding.
Yep.
I do want to point out that according to Poltergeist Online, this was accomplished with a forced perspective. A miniature model of the closet door was constructed in the foreground, and it was lined up with the shot, and they used the model head. And I think they said that the door was like 18 inches tall, but
Holy shit.
from the photos that I saw, it looked to be a little taller. It was like half the size of the man next to it. So unless that man is 36 inches tall.
Like in the door was
What?
the size of a thimble.
You fucking liar. No. But I bet it was like 2.5 feet tall, maybe 3 feet tall.
Right.
It's still impressive.
Yeah.
You don't
I
gotta
mean,
lie.
no, it's a technical feat. It's like you could balance it on the grain of rice. It's like, no, you couldn't. But no, I think it's very interesting that they used the forced perspective shot here
Right.
because you can't tell.
You can't tell at all. Yeah.
It's very well done.
I wouldn't have known that.
No, with it going into the eye of a needle.
The tiniest thing ever created.
It was in the Guinness book, but downstairs we see through the portal as Diane, cradling Carol Ann, tumble through and fall to the living room floor. Now this to me was you have the rope, You've got them almost in the fetal position.
Right.
Yeah, they look like they're being born.
Exactly.
Right.
It's like a rebirth. And again, with this maternal theme going throughout.
Yeah.
But Steve runs downstairs and upon Tangina's instruction, scoops them up with Dr. Mitchell and places them into the bathtub.
Yeah, that shit was gross.
It was very
yeah,
gross.
nasty.
It was hard to
shower.
clean yourself up. But he cleans their faces and tells them to breathe. Again, like childbirth.
Yeah.
After a few agonizing moments, they finally return to life. Carol Ann's like, "Hi, Daddy," and they all cry out in relief.
She's so cute.
Yeah.
She's adorable. But Dr. Lesh closes the bathroom door, and Dr. Mitchell lines up a shot of Tangina with the camera. Tangina gets ready for her close-up.
Love it.
She fixes her hair and then says the iconic line, "This house is clean."
I love her.
Just the greatest. But the next morning, we see the Freelings are all together again and all packed up with boxes being loaded into a moving truck.
Yeah, I don't care how clean this house is.
No,
We out.
this house will always be a little
no.
dirty.
Did you not see Amityville?
Yes.
Let's go, man.
Just leave. Doesn't even matter. You can leave your shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then make up a story later. But Dana, of course, bails for a friend's house. She's like, "I'm gonna head over to," and after they think everything is all well and good.
Right.
She's like, "I'm still going to my friend's
Yeah.
house."
Well, she's like, I can't be like, oh, you're only my friend when my house is haunted.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you still need to hang out after.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. Shit. But Diane says to be back after dinner because they're not staying in this house tonight, so they need to get together to go to the Holiday Inn. Dana remarks on the gray streak in Diane's hair, asking if she plans to do anything about it, but Diane's pretty into it.
I like it.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad.
It doesn't look bad. I will say that it does kind of look like Polly Walnuts from the Sopranos. But, I mean, it's not
I'm
bad.
still here for it.
Tone. It's pretty good. I think it's good. But Dana leaves as Steve loads one more box onto the truck.
This is exhibit B of what I'm talking about. Okay. She's like, it said that they're staying at the hotel or whatever. And Dana's like, oh, yeah, I know that one. And Diane's like, what? And Dana's like, what? And it's like, okay, we get the joke, but
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I didn't like it. That's all.
That's all,
The
yeah.
defense rests. The prosecution. I'm prosecuting.
Yeah.
Renee's court.
Coming to fucking Bravo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sophie said I need to be on Bravo.
I think it's fair. I do agree. I feel like it is kind of weird. I mean, I know they're trying to create, again, more comedy,
Right.
but you're still talking about a 16-year-old
Yeah.
girl.
Yes. And that's not it. There will be an exhibit
There will be,
C.
yes. But after he loads that box on the truck, Steve asks Diane how she's feeling, and as they look at a smiling Carol Ann, she says that she feels good. Diane reminisces on all the memories that they had in their house, which Steve understands, but he's like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
He says he's going to the office to get a few things, but then he'll be back. And as it turns out, he's quitting his job, so they're really out of here.
Yeah.
Well, good for him, because clearly the company is fucking trash.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
And with the work, he could start his own fucking
Yeah.
business.
He was
42%.
carrying-
Yeah, I was going to say, if
He was
he's doing
carrying
that
this
good.
Yeah, you don't need Mr. Teague. But they mouth that they love each other and part company. Later on, Diane reaches the top of the stairs, reading hair dye instructions, but here's Robbie and Carol Ann playing in their room and stops at their door. I thought she was going to go in, but I think she's just glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a small, sweet moment.
Yeah.
But she then heads to the bathroom and runs herself a bath. There's a red light in the bathroom. I don't know where it's coming from. She doesn't seem to find it eerie. I like the shot, but it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
But she gets undressed and puts on a robe, then goes to check on the children. Breaking up an argument over a random toy, she tells them that she's about to get into the bath and asks them if they can answer the phone for her, but also to tuck themselves in. I'm like, well, how can they answer the phones?
Now you're doing too much, Mom. My thing, we would not be sleeping here again.
No.
Yeah.
And they definitely not in that fucking
Well,
room.
why are you tucking yourselves in? We
Right,
just said
I
we're
was
not
fi-
staying
yeah,
here.
I was
Well,
fixing to
because
say.
I think when Steve left, he was like, if the kids fall asleep, just let them.
Yeah, but
you at the very least, if you're that tired, you're in my bed.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're in the
We're
master
not,
bedroom.
we're- Yeah, dude, I don't.
They're not
like,
being alone.
Diane.
No.
Diane.
I was rooting for you. We were
Come
all
on.
rooting for you.
We're all rooting for you.
But she says goodnight to them and returns to the bathroom. She takes off her robe and steps into the bath. E-Buzz has a front row seat, which is uncomfortable. Is it modesty, but I would never get naked in front of my pets.
Sometimes you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Your pet's a peeping tomcat?
So, dude, Luna is all up in everybody's business.
I didn't get enough respect for peeping tomcat. So I'd like to restate it to get the laugh it deserved.
I would like to resubmit my pun.
Yeah, if it pleases the court, I would like to. But I thought it was weird.
What is watching her in the corner of the box, of the tissue box?
What?
Yeah, there's something watching her in the reflection in the corner of the tissue box.
I never saw that.
Me neither.
Now I gotta go back.
Kidding?
No.
Yeah, if you look in the tissue box when she comes back from the kids and she's looking at the thing and messing with her hair in the mirror, if you look in the tissue box, there's a reflection of something right there.
Is it like the guy with the clapboard and Texas Chainsaw, or is it like
no? It's like I don't think they're gonna have it that tight on the shot if it wasn't meant to be there.
I never noticed. I'm gonna have to go back and look.
Hey, wait, was Poltergeist the movie? Now, don't quote me on this. But was Poltergeist the movie where after, like, at this point, one of the kids' pictures was replaced with a demonic face, and it took people forever to notice? Now I really got to go back.
Hold, please.
We'll be right back. No, I heard that. So if you're watching it, watch out for this scene because that is possible. I heard a rumor about that.
Okay, Eagle Eye.
Well, no, it's
Well, I said a picture frame. He said a
a tissue box.
It's like how your parents have the tissue inside a different, like a decorative box.
Yeah.
Well, the side of it looks like it's got slits in it, but it's metallic, so you can see it, but you see something moving.
Well,
it
might have been the cameraman.
I was like, what is watching
JP's like,
her?
it's the beast.
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck? It's the dude just hiding in the corner with the camera.
It's fucking great. I am going back.
I have to go look now.
I do want to go back though, but the kids say goodnight to each other, shut off the lights, and get into bed. Robbie then spies that evil-ass clown sitting at the foot of his bed in that chair still, after everything.
I was going to say, after everything, we're kicking that clown into the creek, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, you got me fucked up.
He tries to throw his jacket over it, but his aim is awful, and it just jingles the clown's bells before hitting the floor. I'm sure it was like a R2-D2 jacket. Yeah. But rather than attempt it again, he just rolls over and closes his eyes. Diane enjoys her bath, but it appears we see some kind of steam and or smoke creeping in. Mm-hmm. I thought it could have been from the hot water, but we really linger on it.
Is James Wan here?
Yeah. He was an intern or something. But back in the children's room, my timeline doesn't add up. He was probably like 5 or something.
He's immortal. Pass it on.
But back in the children's room, we get a shot of Robbie in bed. We hear some noises of movement around him, which stirs him awake. And when he looks over at the foot of his bed, we see that the chair is empty.
I'm screaming for my mom.
Yes. Absolutely. It starts like that's enough.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah.
I don't need to see anymore.
After the tree tried to eat me. It's like, no.
Dude. Yeah. Oh, my God. That's like traumatizing. And y'all are making him sleep next to that tree again.
In the dark.
Yeah.
And he hasn't slept there since that night.
Your sister just went in that closet and didn't come out.
Night.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I'm sorry. Sleep well. Sleep hell. But he gasps and looks around. He leans over his bed to look underneath, and the camera follows his search. When it comes up empty, the camera follows him back to his bed, where behind him, the clown is waiting. Its long arm wraps around his throat and pulls him underneath the bed, which wakes up Carol Ann. So it's like they got rid of the spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But while the spirits are away, the beast will play. Right. So that's where they're at now.
But we all knew that clown was going to come back.
Oh, yeah. No, it was too creepy to just not.
Just be like, hey, guys, get a load of this creepy clown. And that's it? No. Also, I did read on IMDb that the mechanism malfunctioned in the clown and was actually choking.
Yeah, I read that too, and that Spielberg was like, use it. And the kid was fucking like,
he's like, I'm dying. I'm fucking dying, man.
He said he turned blue, and that's when they were like, oh, shit. It's like,
God damn.
that kid's acting his ass off.
Right. I believe he's
Yeah,
dying.
like, how did he do that? That's awful, dude. But I was going to say 70s, but no.
No, not even.
Not anymore. But Diane hears none of this as we see her sitting at the foot of her bed, blow drying her hair. Finally finished and all the gray's gone, she lies back in bed and closes her eyes. Suddenly, she hears Robbie screaming for help and attempts to lurch up to get to his aid, but a force holds her down and starts to lift up her shirt.
Yeah.
I was like, is this the entity?
Beast is trying to get freaky.
Yeah.
The
God damn.
entity, dude.
That movie's fucking... We can't find that movie.
I know.
I remember we were going to cover that because that was one of the first things Dad had suggested for his birthday. We were going to cover it. We can't find that shit anywhere.
But I think it was all on purpose so that we would have to cover Prince of Darkness.
It all lined
It
up.
all lined up.
Everything happens as it's meant to.
I was concerned at the beginning because I was watching this with Ari.
Uh-huh.
And then when I seen the goat, I was like,
Oh,
fuck,
shit,
how am I going
yeah.
to tell her to leave?
Yeah, like, this is PG.
But, yeah.
I thought. But she fights against it. But in a very technically impressive shot, she tumbles up the wall and across the ceiling.
Yes.
She slinks back down to the floor and is able to exit the bedroom. Now, according to Fangoria, with their interview with Tobe Hooper, he said that this was the largest gimbal ever constructed at the time.
Holy shit.
Damn.
And they used it to tilt the entire room
Yeah.
and left the camera stationary. So that's how they're able to get this in
Yeah.
camera. This is all in camera.
That's crazy. I'm sure we all thought of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And it looks super
It
cool.
looks
It does.
great.
And that was what something she said too. She goes, "This looks really good. How old is this?"
Yeah.
I was
Old.
like, "Hell yeah!"
Yeah.
Still impressing the kids.
Yeah.
I did also read that originally, in I guess the first treatment of the film, they didn't really think about a rating, and so this scene was way more graphic.
Oh, all right.
And
And
I'll-
what? Oh, no.
Doesn't matter.
The entity?
I'll leave it at that.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So
Steven.
in their quest for a PG, things had to be toned down,
Yeah.
obviously.
Well, I mean, I don't.
It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's very unnecessary.
Yeah, I don't know
Fuck,
if that's
dude.
needed.
It's
Just
not.
trying to get to her kids,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
So you're here and you're in the bedroom fucking with the kids?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
But back in the kids' room, Robbie has made worm's meat of that clown.
He's fucking that
He
thing
is
up.
Good for him.
He's got its guts torn out, but unfortunately, the closet door flies open, a light beaming out of it and sucking the clown's chair inside. The closet door closes, the frame now surrounded by vines and fucking orange,
Yeah.
like moving sludge. But as Diane runs to the kid's door, we watch as the beast, a roaring skull with large limbs, materializes in front of it, blocking her way.
That looked really cool.
It did.
It did look cool.
It was impressive, but it kind of just reminded me of Jim Henson's, the Muppets. Not like a Muppet baby,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
you know what I mean. It looked
Not even just a regular
that's
Muppet?
the- no.
not like a Muppet.
baby.
You know.
Like a full-grown Muppet.
Yeah, like a real one. But you know what I mean? Like you can kind of tell. I was like, oh,
No, I
that
agree.
looks cool, but I was like, that's straight. That's a fucking puppet.
I almost got like Nightmare Before Christmas vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it felt like that to me, but I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But she screams at it not to touch her children, but takes a tumble down the stairs and falls into the living room. She tries to make her way back up, but the railings are electrified. And when she tries to run outside for help, she's zapped across the room by the front door.
Yeah.
I was like, holy, now I did see that she was obviously attached on wires
Oh,
because
yeah.
she floated very gingerly to the
Yeah.
floor. It's like the beast, I guess, can be a little
Yeah.
kind. He doesn't.
He's like, you've been
He's
through
like,
a lot.
"Look,
Yeah.
I'll give you a safe landing." But upstairs, Robbie tries to rip the door open, but Carol Ann watches as the closet door breaks open, light beaming out of it, and simply says, "No more."
It's so sad.
Yeah.
Poor Carol Ann is like, I was out.
No shit, dude. I was just thinking in this moment is we never really saw what she saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
That kind of makes it scarier, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But Diane runs outside through the rain trying to get Ben's attention, but to no avail. On her way back to the house, she slips and falls into the swimming pool, through the mud, and into the standing water. As she resurfaces, so do several skeletal corpses. She screams in fear, clawing her way back to the surface, but a large coffin rises up in front of her, spilling open to reveal yet another body.
Seriously, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was it in like their contracts that they can't build a pool? Like, did they not anticipate anyone building a pool? Or
They should have warned them.
I mean,
now, don't go digging into the ground or nothing.
Well, I guess not.
God damn.
Didn't he say, dude, put a jacuzzi in his house or some shit? So you're not allowed to.
Well, but he
guess,
said he
but-
put it in the house.
True, in the house.
Yeah, but I mean, if he can do that, I can build a pool outside.
Oh, well, that's fine.
Yeah,
No,
but-
right.
But
I feel like the
bodies,
company
though.
probably should have been like,
Right,
"Ugh,
no
don't
pools."
be digging
Yeah.
pools. And I'm just realizing in this moment that Tweety's little cigar box coffin, that was foreshadowing,
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That's genius.
right?
All right, Steven. But she almost climbs out, but super fun Happy slides her ass
Yeah.
right back into the pool of waiting skeletons.
And so these are real.
Right.
Yes, and as we learned, we watched the Cursed Films documentary. The gentleman of, unfortunately, I don't remember his name,
Right.
that did the makeup, he said that they, of course, used real skeletons. He obviously thought that the idea of a curse was bullshit and offensive,
Yeah.
but he said that numerous productions before this used
Right.
skeletons. Frankenstein, House on Haunted Hill, famously.
Yeah.
I love that skeleton.
That skeleton's great. We were laughing at the hole in the top of his head
Yeah.
because they have to pull him out.
Yeah.
But you don't really hear anything about curses associated with them.
Right.
So it's like, just because it's a convergence of a lot of events.
Yeah.
Long story short. But using a hose, Diane finally climbs up, being helped out by Ben and his wife.
She should have just made like a ladder out of them bones.
She could have.
But she begs Ben for help, but his fucking wife tells him not to go.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell? So
Yeah, what a bitch.
Yeah.
Sorry, but-
No, that's what I put, oh, bitch ass neighbors, for real.
Diane just runs back inside alone, making her way upstairs. As she reaches the top, we get this amazing dolly zoom shot, I'm assuming, making the hallway appear endless
Yeah.
and even extending further as she attempts to make it to the kid's door.
If the face ripping scene is my favorite part, this is
Yeah.
my second favorite
yeah.
part. It
Absolutely.
looks incredible.
Still,
Yes.
it's frightening.
Yeah.
But she finally reaches the door and busts it open. As soon as she does, her body is lifted off the ground and she holds onto the door frame as not to be pulled into the yawning mouth of the closet, which now appears to be a glowing orange throat.
Yeah.
It almost looks pumpkin-like.
Yeah, it does.
This is a real thing they built.
Oh,
Holy shit.
And that's like kind of the only shot you get of it.
Yeah.
But they busted their asses for it.
No, but could they fit this on the head of a baby?
Now, is this etched into a grain of rice? But the kids are also holding onto their bed frame for dear life. So once Diane secures herself, she reaches out to them. A tongue slithers out from the closet, but she's able to grab Robbie's hand, who holds on to Carol Ann's hand, and the three of them fall into the hallway. We then see Steve parking the car in the driveway, arriving home to this absolute clusterfuck. Flashing lights explode out of every single window of the house, and Teague watches from the passenger seat of the car as Diane and the kids attempt to rush out the front door to Steve. Unfortunately, another casket rises up from the ground, corpse included, blocking their way. This continues as they rush back through the house into the dining room and the kitchen. I read that this was achieved with hydraulics and breakaway linoleum.
All right.
Huh.
And so the difficulty is that this was a lose yourself situation because they only had one shot.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
They did not miss their chance to
So
blow because
did they capture it or did they let it slip?
I'll just say their palms were sweaty. But another casket pops open outside, knocking Steve over. Teague is like, fuck this noise, and tries to bail, but Steve catches up to him, grabbing him by the jacket and screaming at him. You son of a bitch. You moved the cemetery, but you left the bodies, didn't you? You only moved the headstones. He's furious.
Well,
Who
yeah.
fucking does that? Who does that?
Well, it was cheaper to...
Oh my God.
But again, 42%. You knew I was living here with my family.
The first person.
Yeah.
Some bullshit, man.
It is. And, capitalism is all I'm trying to say. It's awful because you think about all the other houses, how long until they're experiencing this
Yeah.
shit? I do think that they did have an attraction to Carol Ann in particular because she was born in this house.
Yeah, so that was my question. Like, I know that this movie's literally called Poltergeist.
Yeah, it's not a...
And we had the difference between a haunting and a poltergeist situation explained to us. This house is haunted because it's built on dead people.
That's the twist, folks.
Right.
It wasn't a poltergeist at all.
It goes all the way to the top.
Exactly.
All the way. They've been trolling us since the title.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just a little confused, I guess.
I think that was the intent, is that it starts off very almost innocuous. You got some weird shit moving around or whatever.
Right.
And then it turns into what it turns into.
I mean, then call the movie They're Here. I mean, I don't know.
Well, don't go changing titles.
Well, I think it was because they needed the time frame. Because if it's a haunting, then you have all the time in the world.
True.
But if it's a poltergeist, then we only have 48 hours.
Then Gordon Ramsay is fucking like sweating.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's like, we got to get these customers fed. Poison soup and whatnot. Pizza Hut.
And waffles.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, waffles. But Steve desperately asks why, but Teague just stands there in shock. Diane and the kids make it out of the house, and Steve loads them into the car. With everyone screaming in his ear, he's finally able to start the car, but not before the house fucking projectile missiles an entire fucking corpse onto the hood of the car.
Yeah, no, that was just, and stay out. But it made me laugh because he was struggling with that ignition.
He was.
And I'd be like, I saved both of these kids on my own. You can't put the fucking key in the ignition.
That is very fair. The division of labor is not.
And also, E-Buzz is just always ready to get the fuck out of the house. Because Harry last week was a very good boy, but he had to be rescued.
True.
Right.
E-Buzz was like, move. I can get in here myself. Like, he
was
jumped
waiting.
his ass in the car.
Now, in defense of Harry, he did pull James out of the sludge last week.
He did save James.
So I meant, yes, James Brolin, actually.
He literally saved James Brolin.
He was like, I'm drowning in the sludge.
Not George Lutz, James
But
Brolin.
we'll just get a couple treats out for both these good boys, is all I'm trying to say.
They both deserve them.
Yes. But as they violently back into the street, a car pulls up, and Dana, dressed for the sock hop, I guess.
Yeah. I didn't get it either.
I don't know what that's about. But she hops out of the car and she stares at the house, still beaming light out into the street, and screams, "What's happening?"
Iconic moment.
Iconic. But
Yeah. Exhibit C. The big ass fucking hickey on her neck for no reason.
Yeah.
it's like, that's what she's been doing, guys. It's like, yeah, we know.
We get it, Steven.
What the fuck are we doing here?
It's just gross. Like, I'm not saying that 16-year-olds can't be about their business.
Right,
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we got to make the whole movie about Dana getting it in.
That's her character.
Yeah, it wasn't the whole movie.
Yeah.
What movie were you watching? Did you watch a supercut of just the Dana scenes?
I don't appreciate it.
You're
I feel
for
like
a movie called Poltergeist, I saw a girl like leaving the house a lot.
I feel like either flesh her out or she's not even fully needed.
Yeah.
No.
I just don't like the treatment of her character. Make her, 3 to 4 years younger and we can talk.
You mean older?
What did I say?
Younger.
Older.
Yeah.
No, older.
Older.
on the cool, you don't even need to do all the other crazy shit and just send her away like you did the boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get him out of the scene.
It was just an odd choice. And again, I'm sure it can just be chalked up to one of those situations where it just doesn't age well.
Mm-hmm.
But I really didn't appreciate it.
No, you were objection.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Dana gets into the car, and E-Buzz is there too, as we've explained. But the car speeds away as Steve tells them not to look back. The caskets are wrecking shop in the whole neighborhood. Water mains are busted, and fucking fire is shooting out from the ground.
Yeah.
It's a real mess.
It's a lot.
According to Fangoria, this part was shot on location.
Damn.
Yeah, this was the actual neighborhood.
Holy shit.
The next sequence was not, but still.
Yeah.
Teague backs away from the glowing house as the beast growls, sending a shockwave of fiery light that knocks his ass down. The house begins to crumble until it fully collapses in on itself, the debris forming a ball and disappearing into a ball of humming light.
The house is like Life with the Simpsons.
That's all I thought of, dude. That's it. But Teague puts his head down like, I am never going to financially recover from this. I did want to point out, according to The Independent, this shot cost $25,000.
Holy shit.
Damn.
They made a 6-foot wide model of the house and connected it to a ton of wires.
Yeah.
It was so detailed that it even had the furniture of the house in the appropriate rooms.
Wow.
At a certain point, the wires would be pulled and sucked into that vacuum we talked about earlier.
All right.
And this was filmed at 300 frames a second and slowed down for the version that we see in the film.
Right.
Damn.
Just nuts.
But could it fit on the head of it?
This house was etched
was
into a grain of rice.
pencil lead. Yeah.
It was a pencil lead.
Pencil lead.
Yeah. I do think that this holds up incredibly.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, it
absolutely.
looks good.
Yeah, it
It's,
does.
again, practical effects. A lot of it doesn't age
Yeah.
poorly.
Yeah.
But the Freeling family speeds away past a now leaving Cuesta Verde sign, eventually arriving at the neatest looking Holiday Inn I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It looks vintage. I like it.
They're like, hey, Dana.
Oh, back so soon?
Oh, I'm mad.
But there's a sign at the Holiday Inn that says, welcome Dr. Fantasy or something. Apparently that was the magician name of one of the producers of the film. So again, it's like a little
Your
shout
friend,
out.
yeah.
But they approach their room quietly, unlocking the door and heading inside, closing it behind them. After a moment, the door opens and Steve wheels the television onto the balcony and closes the door once again. The camera pulls back into the night as the main theme plays and the credits roll. So, what did you guys think of Poltergeist?
So I do want to say that I enjoyed this movie.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
I did like it. I forgot a lot of stuff except for everything
The
that's
pop culture shit. Yeah.
But I do enjoy that they were normal and there was nothing wrong with them, even though they did get high in the movie. There was no weird like, oh, this happened because you were stoned and you left your kid alone.
Some reefer madness.
Yeah,
Exactly,
It's
yeah.
like, no, they were normal people. Just they got high.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I do not like the ET again. You kind of, but I mean, I did feel good watching the movie.
Yeah.
You do get like you said, the family. You know what I mean? You're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
It's wholesome.
it
is.
is. It's a wholesome horror movie. Which
Why
I,
did it sounded like his tone soured at the end of that sentence.
Did.
well, why that shouldn't be together. I don't know. It's weird, but I like it.
Well, it's good that
yeah,
you like
As
it.
long as you like it.
Yeah.
I agree. I had a lot of fun. I don't want to say I was disappointed that it wasn't scarier because I think that I maybe did that to myself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it is. It's weirdly wholesome. There are a couple really good visual effects in
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah.
They made some super small shit. No, I'm just kidding.
As we've explained, the
The head of a pin.
grain of rice.
I feel like we watched that Cursed Films documentary on it this morning, and I feel like what I took away from it, because, you know, that whole, all the death and everything
Right,
surrounding this film,
Yeah.
it being chalked up to it being a curse for them using real bodies and stuff. And there was a guy on there that said that it was really a disservice to Heather O'Rourke, who died from an undiagnosed medical condition,
Mm-hmm.
tragically young. And then Dominique Dunn, who was murdered
Yeah.
by her boyfriend, again, horribly young.
Yeah.
It's like diminishing their deaths to it being a creepy story about the movie. And so that really kind of made me reframe that in my mind. I appreciated kind of being corrected in that,
Right.
because they're not just a creepy story, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Like their deaths were real. They were real people, and it's fucking horribly sad.
Oh yeah.
And I forgot what we were talking about, but
The motion picture
Yeah.
Poltergeist.
oh, right. It kind of bothers me that is so steeped, like the film is
Right.
so steeped in that kind of lore about it, because it kind of sets you up for a movie that you're not getting, and it really is disrespectful to
Oh,
them.
it is.
yeah.
And I never looked at it that way before, so I was happy to be enlightened in that way.
Well, I think because I would wager to say the three of us kind of all have a sort of attraction to the macabre.
For sure.
Right.
The, darker side of things.
Yeah.
So you hear things about a cursed film and you're like,
Ooh,
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
But then when you get that giant story, you do forget about the human aspect behind it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And seeing them on that cursed films doc, telling all these stories, you're like, God damn, that is really a disservice.
It's like, wow, it's gross.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like it's been really leaned into because it makes the movie scarier. But no, that's not.
No.
Like, that's gross.
Yeah.
But anyway, for what this film is, not what I wanted it to be, not what they, people try to make it. It's a good time.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not going to be, unless you watched it at, that age, it's not going to be super scary. But like, that's okay because that's just not what this is.
Yeah.
So much of, like you said, not all of it's entirely original.
Yeah.
But I feel like it did inspire some really great moments and great films that came after it. And that's kind of, you can't put a price on that.
When I was on Not Your Final Girl, which if you're drinking every time I say that.
I know, they're drunk.
I was very happy to be on there and I love them so much. But
they're great.
Here's the thing. Insidious.
Yeah.
Right.
Films like that had to have taken Poltergeist as a major influence.
For sure.
And look what they did with it. They made it their own. It's possible to be influenced and create something amazing.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think this is a great, fun film. It's interesting that there are so many interpretations you can take as far as like the American dream critique, the United States critique in general, critique about television and our children.
Yeah.
I don't have children. You know what I mean? Your children. Just your kids.
Won't somebody please think of the children?
Please think of the children. Always back to The Simpsons. But I just think that I don't want to say that it detracts from it for me. I feel like they're trying very hard to... Like, you remember when you were a kid and you get scared and then like your mom would hug you or something, or your dad would tell you to be okay? That's this movie a lot of the time.
Yeah.
That's like perfectly put.
Like they like scare the shit out of you and like, no, it's all right.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Everything's cool.
This is funny.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't want to say that it detracts from the film, but it does kind of take my score down just a little bit.
I get that, but that's what I'm saying. You have to look at it for what it is.
Yeah.
This does not feel like a straight horror film to me.
I think it's,
which is odd because it's revered as one of the you know what I mean? It's just interesting.
But I guess that leads us into ratings. On the positive side, I love how real this family feels in this movie. It is very, very lived in, and it's very hard to achieve that. Mm-hmm. So that takes a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
I think the story is great, albeit, I mean, somewhat derivative. Yeah, the Odd Collector. But I think that, again, it does something unique with what it has. Mm-hmm. I feel like the social commentary that may or may not be here is a very interesting thing to dive into if we want to.
Right.
Yeah.
But even without it, it's still a really good movie.
Oh, yeah.
I think the special effects are great. I like the music in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
One of the better horror scores, I'd say. Maybe not necessarily horror scores, but scores.
Right.
Because it's never really scary.
Yeah.
But it's definitely really good music. Of course, I have to shout out Jo Beth Williams. Mm-hmm. I think she does an amazing job in this movie.
She does.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that the rest don't.
Yeah.
But to me, she's a real standout.
She shines.
Right.
Yeah.
On the negative side, though, Dana.
Yeah, I don't like it.
The handling of Dana's character, I just don't know what they were
weird.
doing.
Case closed.
I think that they made a choice as far as how scary this film was going to be, and it does work, although I would have loved to see what would have happened if they had gone the other way.
Yeah.
Especially with Tobe Hooper at the helm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
He creates some of the most visceral.
Yeah. And he's so raw and gritty in the way it just feels...
Spielberg.
Yeah.
Spielberg. I've gone French. I was going to say Spielbergian, but I didn't know if I was pronouncing it right, so I just stopped mid fucking word, which is what you're,
So you turned into a Frenchman.
Yeah, Spielberg. But all that to say, out of 10 static televisions, I am going to give Poltergeist 8.5 static televisions out of 10. I was going to give it an 8, but this movie is a lot of fun.
It is.
It really is.
I mean, and this is one that you can show to just about anybody.
Yeah.
I feel like you could make a horror fan out of a non-horror fan, and you can make a horror fan that is a devout horror fan very happy.
Yeah.
So I think I appreciate my score, and I hope you both do too.
I appreciate
it. But I will now open the floor to you.
So I know I've already kind of said what I had to say about the movie, but I pretty much watched this with fresh eyes, and I did like this movie. And like I said, yeah, I don't like putting wholesome and horror together, but
it looked like it hurt.
It did. But it's a good story. You know what I mean? And the movie's good. And at the end, you feel all, you get that little laugh when they throw the TV out and it's like, but they're a family, everybody's safe, whatever, they beat it. And I mean, it's good, and I hate that it made me feel that way. But
I hate that it made me feel good.
Right? I felt feelings.
Yeah.
But it is a very good movie, and I also gave it the same thing.
Really?
So on a scale from 1 to 10, static televisions, I'm gonna give the Poltergeist an 8.5. I again love the fact that they're potheads and they're normal. I love the fact that, like you said, you can show this movie to anybody and it's fine because it has that, oh, you're scared, hold on, let me,
Yeah.
hold on,
It's okay.
let's get funny real quick, and then it goes back. And what could have been, I don't know if we'll ever find out. I doubt it.
Yeah, no.
But you know what I mean? Yeah. But this movie, the way it is, I'm completely fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, going last, I always feel like I'm just repeating what you guys say. So I'm in the same boat. I think that I kind of did this film a disservice going into it with the mindset that I did.
Right.
And so kind of reshaping that and then watching it again and reading all about it and everything, it gives you a deeper appreciation. And I just had a really fun time talking about it as well. So I'm just going to cut all the bullshit and just go to my score. And on a scale from 1 to 10, static televisions, I also gave Poltergeist 8.5. So ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
You did the hat trick.
I feel like it's been a while.
It has been.
But it's just... I know we keep saying the word wholesome, but I don't know how else to describe it.
I don't either.
It's a lot of fun. And I mean, it sounds cheesy, but it is nice to have a horror film from the 80s that's highly regarded that my kids can watch.
Yeah.
There's no showing of the flesh.
No.
There's those moments with Dana that would go over a child's head.
Yeah.
But
I didn't notice the hickey until the last time I watched the movie.
man, it pissed me off.
I know
man.
it did.
I didn't notice at all
appreciate
until
it.
you said
It's
something.
big. I was mad.
Yeah. I think that thing that bit Dr. Casey gave her the hickey. Well, that's all from us at Pod Mortem. What would you rate Poltergeist, and what should we watch next? Let us know on Twitter at the Pod Mortem. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and like us on Facebook. Be sure to follow each of us on Twitter at TravisMWH, at Blood and Smoke, and at RealStreeter84. Please consider pledging to our Patreon and stay tuned until after the music for a special thank you to our Wendigo Getter patrons. And remember, it's important to let the dead rest in peace. Failure to do so could be a grave mistake. Until next time. Thank you for staying tuned. We want to give a very special thank you to all of our Wendigo Getter patrons.
Woo!
Woo!
Special thank you to Chris Ontiveros, Kristen Lofton, Megan Martinez, Kimberly Bass, Melanie Van Houston, Sophie Hodson, Anthony Jerome M., Jordan Nash, Kent Morton, Allison O'Neill, Guy54, Lala Thomas, Travis and Nisa Hunter, Miguel Myers, ATX, Mandy, Jennifer Perez, Pierre Lombard, Carissa, TJ Bronson, Gabrielle Trevino, Spooky Mom, Andy Teague, Applin Ontiveros, Karima Rhodes, Antonio Huerta, Kimberly Kleindienst, Will Brown, Linda, Sydney Smith, Osvaldo Soto, Jonathan Booth, Bobby Holmes, Donna Eason, JD Rizak, Molly Gerhart, Armand Spasto, Aaron Aguirre, Eggy, William Barry, Brittany, Charity Oxner, and Amanda Six.
Hey.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much.
The
Thank
crew.
you.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate every single one of you, and we can't tell you how glad we are that you're here. Like the TV.
They're the TV people.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're the podcast people.
Right.
Until next time.